All right, I think we are finally live because I hit the button. What is going on, everybody? I am Rand L. Thor 19, the man with the million, or you can call me Randall Tomato, whichever one that you want. Thanks to Jez Corden for making that a meme now. Live. So yeah, this is the Xbox 2 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, and the other one is Jez Corden of Windows Central. Are you happy with yourself with what you've done to me, Jez? Are you happy?
I am. Not gonna lie, man. I think it's a good look for you, baby.
You think so?
Good look, man. Yeah, it's a good look. Round out tomorrow. I think it's a good look.
Yeah.
Nice and juicy. Nice and healthy. One of your 5 a day. This podcast is now officially one of your 5 a day. Fruit and vegetables.
Right. And big shout out to Cold Eastwood, who put out another amazing video today. He whipped up this Randall Tomato emoji for channel members if they want to constantly spam it in the chat for the podcast. So yeah,
you sound kind of disappointed about this.
No, I mean whatever. I don't know. Like it was funny. It was when I showed it to you. You were dying. It's too bad I didn't wait until we were live because then people could have heard your reactions because it was absolutely hysterical. So thank you guys for joining Friday. Obviously, this is the Xbox 2 podcast day. We have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, and as everybody kind of comes into the room, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and please share this out on Twitter or Facebook or wherever you share things. It's a little button right next to the subscribe button. It really helps us out. We get more people in here discovering the awesomeness that is the Xbox 2 podcast. So we appreciate everybody being here. I see people are using the tomatoes things quite a bit, so it's kind of funny. What are we going to be talking about today? Well, we got Xbox Series X impressions, but I watched Jeff Grubb's impressions, and that was very good. I pretty much watched them all, Tom Warren's, but we got Jez Corden on here, and Jez Corden has had the Xbox Series X now for what about a week, maybe 5 days, 4 days, whatever it's been. So,
man, time is an abstract concept to me.
Yes.
Just
2 days ago it was March, and now it's October, right?
Yeah, for real. Like I literally don't know. I think I got it. Man, has it really been a week already?
I mean, I don't know. So Jez is going to be talking about his hands-on impressions of the Xbox Series X, and we got a whole bunch of other topics. Starfield leak, people leaking screenshots and potentially release dates. The internet not liking Peter Parker's new face. Minecraft destroying Twitter. And those pesky Bungie rumors keep on popping up, although they were pretty much shut down today once again by the CEO of Bungie. I'm sure we'll talk about all that stuff. So, yeah, hit the like button, guys. And Jez, before we get into all the juicy topics, we're talking about what we've been playing. Now, I recorded the first hour of Crash 4, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and that's what the clip is playing right now. What have you been playing on your Series X?
I've tried quite a few games. Some of them I can't talk about actually, but out of the games that I can talk about, I've been playing Monster Hunter World a lot, which is one of the games that very noticeably benefits from the boosted hardware. A lot of the games still have these sort of locked frame rates or locked resolutions or whatever, but Monster Hunter World has I think it's 1800p or something, but it's got this completely unlocked frame rate, and it has a performance mode which is 1080p, and then a resolution mode which is 1800p, and but the frame rates were unlocked. So on the Xbox One X, it could push about 35 maybe in some cases, and it could crash to 28 in others. But on the Series X, it is silky smooth, 58, 59, 60 frames, persistently, even in really intense fights with loads of particle effects flying all over the place. Some of the newer bosses where there's just a ridiculous amount of lighting and light shows and fireworks and all sorts of things popping off all over the place. And the Series X crushes it, man. It absolutely crushes it, and it's just like it's so smooth because it's a very combat oriented game, obviously, because you're clues in the title, you're hunting monsters, and having that 60 frames per second really makes fighting a bit easier, makes judging iframes and stuff like that a little bit easier. And I have to say, Rand, I think this might be the death of Filmic.
Really? Are we non-filmic now? Do you believe in the power of 60 frames?
This might be the end of Filmic gaming as we know it, baby.
Ooh.
It's it's sad times for everyone on Team Filmic, but unfortunately, we may have to accept that 60 frames might be the baseline of the future for us. But there isn't a huge amount of games available to testers right now. They're adding more all the time. And the plan is to have all of them ready for launch. By the way, I saw some people spreading fear, uncertainty, and doubt because people in the preview program don't have access to the full list of
Is that
games.
what FUD stands for? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yeah, did you not know that?
I mean, not really. I keep on seeing like, oh, FUD, but I never really took the time to understand what each word meant. So thank you for that. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Yes, indeed.
The usual
I saw
suspects.
some people saying that because the spreadsheet leaked with the games that were available to testers, but they're adding more constantly, and the plan hasn't changed. The plan is to have all 4,000 plus games ready for launch, with the exception of Kinect games. So drop an F in the chat for Kinect. Not only are we losing Filmic, but we are losing Kinect.
And nobody really cares.
It's
nothing of value
was
lost.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares that you can't play Kinect games on the Xbox Series X. Kinect was one of the worst decisions. I mean, I've said this personally. I personally think the Kinect was one of the worst decisions that Microsoft came up with. I'm sure,
Kinect did land them a $2.5 billion contract with the Pentagon, just FYI.
Yeah, well,
so not that bad of a decision, really.
Yeah,
but maybe for gaming, maybe not. But
yeah,
those initial sales from Kinect did help them develop new tech, but maybe it just wasn't quite ready. It's not quite there for gaming. Let's be honest.
Right.
But in any case, all 4,000 games will be there for launch. That's the plan anyway, as per Xbox Wire. So yeah, mostly just Monster Hunter. A bunch of other games, smaller games, stuff like that. But I think as we get closer to launch, there'll be more previews and more games to talk about, and games that, because you have to remember, Monster Hunter hasn't been updated for the Xbox Series X. It just works better as a consequence of the more powerful hardware. So it hasn't even been patched. I'm sure if Monster Hunter was patched and was optimized for the Xbox Series X, it could push even further. It just hasn't even been considered. And I think the resolution is locked at 800p. I'm sure it could push higher on that too. But it'll be interesting to see what games that are designed for it, like the Medium and stuff like that, what they look like on the system. But I don't think we're quite there yet.
Right.
But anyway, that's mostly what I've been playing this week. Just
right, and a little bit later in the show, we'll be going full hands-on with your impressions, talking about the system and what you think. But we got to make sure you don't say things you're not supposed to say. So we got to keep you in line. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing you're not really drinking heavy. Well, I don't want to get you in trouble. I don't want to be like, tomorrow you get a call from Microsoft and being like, yeah, you know what? Send that system back because you broke the rules.
I broke the rules. Nah, I've read the NDA multiple times, and I'm pretty sure I understand what I can and can't talk about. So
right.
Let's this is podcasting on hard mode, baby.
That's right.
Gotta remember the NDA.
So shout out to the two new members of the of the channel. They obviously wanted the Randall tomato. We got Mizuko and Rickle Pick. Thank you guys for joining the channel and supporting what I do here on YouTube. I really appreciate it. We got the question or comment from the Scarecrow. He says, my favorite dynamic duo returns for another week of good vibes. All the love to Ranjaz and the amazing community. Thank you for that compliment. And let's see what else we got here. We got Jesse Darby saying, Jez, will the Microsoft Store have enough consoles on launch? Because I have $500 in my account.
Man, I want to say yes, but I don't know. I don't know what their stock levels are looking like right now.
I mean, so it's been like,
you have to hope so, right?
10 days since pre-orders. I have a pre-order from Amazon, which I'm probably going to cancel because I think I'm just going to buy it straight from Microsoft Store. And I haven't gotten any emails about Microsoft Store availability. Like, I haven't gotten anything from them like I did from Amazon, where Amazon was like, we may or may not get it to you the day it comes out. Who knows? Because we just took as many pre-orders as we can. We didn't know the allocations. At least Microsoft Store haven't gotten anything like that yet. Whereas on the PlayStation side, you've seen, I don't know if that's being blown out of proportion, because it really seems like it was just like one retailer was basically, Sony's told them that they won't be getting their systems until 2021. So I don't know if it's like a bigger thing, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on, which is why I'm keeping both pre-orders for now, because if the Microsoft Store one gets pushed back, well, then I still have the Amazon one. But if, like my like basic plan right now is I'm going to get it from the Microsoft Store, and then I'm just going to cancel it from Amazon. I don't need 2 systems. I just need one. But I needed to make sure that I was at least going to get a system, because I'm not cool like Jez and everybody else who got the preview units, this week. And now I'm not big enough. I don't have a large enough following. I don't have the reach that Xbox
You
wants.
You don't have the camera. That's what it boils down to.
The camera.
I have a camera. Did you see my amazing console comparison video? I
saw that you were eating the Seagate storage expansion for breakfast.
Hey man, you gotta get that energy, man.
Yeah.
That sandwich has the highest read-write speeds of any sandwich in the world right now.
J-Dub is a shill says, so Jez has had hands-on experience with the Bone Cream Series S. Cool. Hey, you were supposed to make a Bone Cream emote. You never did, though.
Man, I don't know. I don't even know how I'd make that without breaking some kind of Twitter rules. Not safe for work content.
Not safe for work. Yeah. Tony Stark.
Maybe.
I'll hit up Colt. I'll see what Colt's artistic brain can come up with. Tony Stark says, will we see new games running on the Series X soon, especially Xbox Game Studios games? Well, that is the question, and we'll probably talk about that later. When are we going to see new games made for the Series X, or just new games in general, like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Dirt 5? We've seen Dirt 5 running on a Series S, but we haven't seen any footage from a Series X, so there's been a lot of people out there that they are really trying to make the case that the Series X can only play old games. And why hasn't Microsoft shown any new games? And, they keep on kind of hammering that into the ground and running with it, which I'm sure it's all part of the, what would you call it? The plan, the PR plan, the slow rollout of information. They're probably going to have something every single week leading up to launch. So I would imagine we would get some of that soon. And shout out to Kid Smooth, the best bot, for joining the channel. Appreciate that, Smooth. Thanks for supporting what I do here on YouTube. Hope you're doing well, buddy. So, what have I been playing? Well, I finished Mafia, Jez. Did you finish Mafia?
I've still got like the last act to do, but pretty much finished it. I know what happens. Put it that way.
Right. Someone just called me an asshole for taking 2 systems. I'm not taking 2. I'm canceling one of them, and it's not like I'm going to You want to know who's an asshole? You talk about the people that pre-order the systems and they're going to try to resell it for $2,000. I'm just going to cancel it, which means somebody else will be able to get it. I'm not buying the system and then going to scalp it for $2,000 or whatever. I'm not like that. So, like I said, I was just keeping them. I was just, as soon as I know which one I'm getting, like if the Microsoft Store one is not going to get delayed, then that Amazon one's going to cancel, and someone else will get it. I'm not going to resell it for $2,000 like a lot of people out there, because a lot of people are. I don't know. Did you see those rumors about like GameStop employees like reserving the Series X and the PS5 before they went live to customers so they can resell them?
That's pretty mean.
I mean, that would be if that turned out to be true, that'd be pretty crappy. Paul says, do you think there's a chance Microsoft could give Scalebound to any of the Bethesda studios to work on? I don't know. Like, what is up with the fascination around Scalebound?
Nope,
Scalebound is dead. Back. It's never coming back. It's dead. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news on that. Like, the Bethesda studios are going to work on what they want to work on. I mean, they've already said, Phil said, like, you know, they're going to be semi-independent. We've already heard interviews from Matt Booty and others and developers at all the new studios, how Microsoft is pretty much hands-off. You know, like, they come and they tell Matt what they want to make, and Matt says, okay, how can I help you do that? They're not going to be like, I think some people have this weird notion that Microsoft comes in to studios and be like, you make this and only this. And that, like, there's this conspiracy that Microsoft really wants somebody to make Scalebound, which isn't the case. Scalebound is dead. The only way I could potentially see Scalebound coming back is if Microsoft partnered back up with Platinum Games to do it. Like, oh, we're in a better place now, we can finish it. But, like, please, I think that the chances of Scalebound coming back are 1%. Probably 0% realistically. The Bethesda studios are just going to make what they're good at, you know? Elder Scrolls, Starfields, the Dooms and the Wolfensteins and stuff like that. So, friendly neighbor Blue Shell says, for bribing Rand to play Animal Crossing, oh, trust me, you're gonna have to bribe me with a lot more to get me to play Animal Crossing. And Darj Knight says, hey Rand Dijez, longtime fan of the show. Give a birthday shout out to my twin Hazador. Hope you read this out this week, Rand. I read it last week, Darj. Happy birthday to not only you, but the one and only Hazador, who also does the timestamps for the show. You know, every single week he listens. He's a big supporter of what me and Jez do on the podcast and YouTube and Windows Central articles. And he listens and he writes down the timestamps and posts them for people that don't want to listen to, you know, certain topics or whatever. And I always pin it in the comments. So we appreciate both you guys. Happy birthday, Darj Knight, you fraud. Go play some games, dude. Go play some games, Darj. Shout out to Pro Killer Dante becoming the newest member of the channel. Thank you. So yeah, let's see. Where was I? Oh yeah, Mafia. So I finished Mafia. I thought it was really good. I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. The story was really compelling. Like, it's one of the few times, not few times because it happens with a lot of games, but I sat there and I just could not stop playing. It's very good at hooking you with the story, and considering I didn't know anything about Mafia 1 in general, right? I played Mafia 2. I haven't played Mafia 3, even though I do own that title, which maybe I'll go back. Maybe I'll actually go back and play it. But it was such a compelling story that was being told, and the way that you kind of transition from cinematic to gameplay back and forth, you know, with the voice acting being really good and the story being top notch. Like, I just kept on doing mission after mission. And actually, for kind of like what would you call this, Jez? Not a fully open world. Like, how would you describe like the open world aspect of the game?
It's sort of like it's not a sandbox game by any means. I wouldn't even barely call it an open world game. There is like a free roam mode, but it's kind of pointless. It's just sort of, it's like LA Noire. It's a linear game where the open world is sort of there just to add characters to the game, really. Yeah. Like, the open world is like a character. It's part of the game. It's not really anything else. Yeah, no, so
you're right. because it's not like any other open world where you can do whatever. It's like when you start up a chapter, it's like, okay, you go here, you do the mission, and then the chapter's over. Like Jess says, there's free roam after you beat the game, but there's really no reason you want to free roam. So they also offer this thing where you can skip non-essential drives. And for me, like I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to use this because I just kind of want to binge the story and see how everything plays out. So as I was playing, like, oh, you start a mission, you got to drive somewhere, you press down on the D-pad and boom, you're at the spot, you're in it, you're doing whatever. I will say the only kind of drawback to the game is I felt that the gunplay and some of those mechanics were about as basic as you could get.
I thought they were pretty basic, but at the same time, I kind of loved how vulnerable you felt while you were in the gunplay segments.
Oh yeah,
I love the fact that you have to sort of, when you shoot in, you have to sort of react to the recoil and sort of bounce your shots against the recoil. I thought like those aspects were cool, but I really did feel like I was playing Max Payne without the slow motion and without the diving. And it was like super duper basic. But again, it reminded me of LA Noire in that context. It's almost just a completely interactive story game, basically.
It is, yeah. So,
but I don't think that's a bad thing. I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it 9 out of 10.
Yeah. I think you definitely rated it higher than I would. Like I give it an 8 because I thought the story was really compelling. Some of the missions were really fun, but like I think the dated gameplay mechanics kind of hold it back. I appreciated that like there wasn't really many open world kind of tropes to the game where like you had to go here to, collect something and go over here to collect something. It was pretty much just like a gangster story told like right through over the course of time too. Like it starts off in the 30s and it's like you're talking to a cop, an investigator, and it's kind of the story's told through a flashback. And then like, before you know it, it's 1938. So you kind of see the relationships and yourself get older. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed it, and it's like $40. So if you haven't played Mafia 1, I would definitely grab this one if you really like gangster films. If you haven't played Mafia 1, I think this is a really good game. And then the other title I started playing was, I bought Crash 4 and I bought Star Wars Squadrons. I haven't played Star Wars Squadrons yet. I'll probably play that today. So I started playing Crash 4, which is the game that is on screen, and I actually like it quite a bit. Now, I played Crash 1, 2, and 3 back when they originally came out, but I didn't replay them when the Insane Trilogy came out. So I was like, you know what, Crash 4 looks pretty cool. And, I mean, I played some of the levels, and like it looks really good. It controls well for the most part. Like, there's still some of that... Like when you're jumping and you're trying to land on something that's a little bit small, it's kind of a little difficult to judge the perspectives and the distance. They've tried to make it easier for people with like a circle underneath your character, but still sometimes it just doesn't work 100% of the time. And a lot of the time, some of the times I felt like I died. It wasn't necessarily my fault for screwing up. It was more like the game's fault because of the perspective it was showing me. But I'm only about like an hour and a half in, but I can tell already like the missions are getting a little bit harder, but they're a lot of fun to go through. So what makes this one different than the other ones is like you collect these like power-ups that kind of change the world. Like the first one you get kind of phases objects in and out. You can hit like right trigger or Y, and these things will phase in. So obviously you can imagine you're doing some like jumping, and you kind of like you jump and then you press right trigger to phase in the platform, and then you continue doing that. So I would imagine it only gets more complicated as it goes. But as of now, I really like the game. Obviously I'll finish it and talk more in depth about it next week. But I don't know, it's pretty cool. You gonna play Crash 4 at all, Jez, or no?
Maybe. I kind of want to go through the remastered one first. Just out of the sake of pure OCD, I guess. But yeah, I do like Crash. It was one of the first It was one of the first 3D games I played, because a lot of PlayStation 1s were bundled with it in the UK. So yeah, that's on my list. But man, my gaming right now is utterly dominated by what I can and can't play on the Series X right now. So yeah.
I'm very jealous. Very jealous of you. I want a Series. Like I'm just over the One X at this point. Like honestly, like give me the Series X. I want to play all these, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm just over this generation at this point.
You're over it.
I mean, granted, we don't have that much longer left to go. We got about a month until the new system comes out. But I'm just completely over Xbox One. Like, the Xbox One X is great. It's a great system. It was a big improvement over the Xbox One. But, like, I'm done. Like, I'm just over it. And, you know, this whole summer has kind of been like, there are not a lot of games out, and you kind of get, like, a little down, and you don't want to play much. But, like, you know, with the release of Mafia and Crash 4 and Star Wars Squadrons, like, I'm starting to get a little bit more pep in my step. Starting to, like, looking forward to more games. Now I'm just like, man, Watch Dogs Legion's at the end of the month. And then Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Dirt 5 and Cyberpunk, right? And, like, what the PlayStation 5's got with, like, Miles Morales and Demon's Souls. And I'm like, man, I'm starting to get really excited for it. Like, I'm ready for, you know, these new systems to come out. So, we only gotta wait a month. Eagles fan 76 says, today's episode is Ran Tomatoes, and the shine in those tomatoes is brought to you by Bone Cream, available soon at your local Jez retailers. This episode was filmed in 24 to 30 filmic FPS. Now back to the show. And Sampo says, Sampo says, which of the following will score the highest Metacritic score? The Elder Scrolls 6, Avowed, or Fable? Also, which are you personally most hyped for? That's an interesting question. Which do you think? I'll say out of those three games, the one that will probably get the highest Metacritic score, I would. I'm gonna say Avowed. I'm gonna say Obsidian nails that game. It's the game that they've always wanted to make. It's their Skyrim killer. And I think Outer Worlds was rated pretty high, wasn't it, Jez? It was like an 86 or an 87 or something like that. Or around there.
Yeah, it did pretty well, yeah.
So I would imagine, I think that game will score high. It's also very possible Fable does as well. For me, which one am I most personally hyped for? I would say Fable. I love Fable 1 and Fable 2. Not a big fan of 3. I even played Fable The Journey on Kinect, which wasn't a bad game. And I know earlier I said Kinect was a waste of resources and time, and it was one of the reasons why the Xbox One generation turned out the way it did. But I mean, there was a few games that were okay on Kinect. The Gunstringer was fun. Fable The Journey was good if you weren't expecting much from it. I
really love that Blue Estate game, man. On Kinect.
Oh yeah, the Blue Estate game. That's
that ridiculous on rail shooter. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, there wasn't a lot. Let's be honest.
No. There definitely wasn't a lot. Not a lot of good stuff. Anyways. Alchemist Star says, shout out to Hazador, one of the real MVPs. Happy birthday. Mine was yesterday. Well, happy birthday to you, bro. He says, love what you and... He says, Jess. Jess. Sorry, you're a girl now, Jess. Have been doing over the years. Keep up the great content, Rand. Thank you. And once again, happy birthday to Hazador. And DYTX Clan says, watching with the DYTX Clan in Scotland. Keep up the good work, man, and don't mind the haters. And all the way in Scotland. You ever been to Scotland, Jez?
No. Scotland is like really high up on my list of places I want to go. So hopefully soon, one day.
I would love to go to Scotland.
It's so beautiful in pictures.
Yeah. I also really want to go to Ireland. That's where my heritage is from. I'm like 50% Irish. So, a lot that's where Rand's family originates from. So I would love to go to Ireland. I mean, yeah, if I ever came into a large sum of money, there's definitely a lot of places I would want to visit. Like, one place I wouldn't want to go to, and that's Australia.
Why not?
Spiders, bro. Like the wildlife there. I want to go to Australia.
Oh man.
I don't know. I don't even know if I want to even go to the UK.
Nah, you don't want to go to the UK. That's fine.
Like definitely Scotland. Ireland.
Scotland's in the UK though, by the way.
Oh well, yeah, that's true. But still,
for now.
I want to go to Hawaii because I've never been to Hawaii. Trying to think what other places would be interesting to travel to. But yeah, Scotland and Ireland would be too. Japan? Yeah, you know what? I actually wouldn't mind going to Japan. Darj Knight says, no, you didn't listen back twice. You're dead to me. I literally read it off, Darj. Don't you start with me, or else you're going to be dead to me, buddy. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Darj is a great guy. James Jordan says, I'm kind of glad Halo Infinite was delayed with these RPGs dropping at launch. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm okay with the delay of Halo Infinite. It was the one, like, you can kind of see that Microsoft's strategy revolved around Halo Infinite being there, and it's my favorite franchise. So I really, really wanted it to. I really wanted to play it at launch, honestly. But for me, the quality of the game is the most important. So I am happy it got delayed. I just hope that whenever we do see it again, it looks much better. And when we get to play it, it's like, okay, this was worth the delay. Because, like, if they re-debut it and it still doesn't look great, and it comes out and it still is kind of just, oh, maybe the single player is good, but the multiplayer isn't, or the multiplayer is great and the single player isn't. It's like, man, 343, three strikes, you're out. You know, so they got a lot riding on this. But I mean, maybe it's a little bit lessened now that, you know, you have all these other new studios that'll be making a lot of games. J-Dub is a shill says, yo, Jez and Rand, be certain that you add a footnote of my name on this emote for the bone cream thing. I should get partial credit for this. Okay. All right, so with that all done, the games we played, we're going to be moving on to the topic. So if you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and share this out wherever you share things. We're going to be starting small and moving on up. Jez, I think we...
Move on up.
I literally got, and I counted, 20 DMs about this. And I know you got DMs about this as well. People wanted me to make a video, but I didn't. The Bungie rumors.
Oh, no.
Once again...
That old chestnut.
Once again, popped up. How do you want to address this?
Do we have to?
I mean...
Do we have to address this?
How many people messaged you about it?
A few dozen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A few dozen messaged me about it and wanted me to make a video about it. So I figured we have to kind of talk about it. We'll get it out of the way. Make it short and quick about the Bungie stuff. Look. The CEO of Bungie is very, 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 very strongly saying that Microsoft is not acquiring them. Not necessarily saying they aren't going to be acquired by anybody else. Maybe Google Stadia swoops in, purchases them.
Oh no!
But
that'd be terrifying.
Yeah, I saw the Xbox era article. It was DM'd to me countless times, and people were like, "This proves it. This proves it. This proves it." And I was kind of waiting to see because it's like, there's some interesting coincidences, but it doesn't really mean anything. And then I watched Hoglog's video about it, which he's a lawyer. Recommend you guys go check it out. And he was just like, nah, this isn't really anything to do about anything. Now, we've talked about the Bungie rumors before, and Jez, you mentioned that you had heard there were talks, but essentially they aren't anymore. And unless Bungie's asking price comes down, then Microsoft isn't going to purchase them. The prodigal son isn't going to return, right?
Yeah, I mean that's basically it, really. Like I'd heard that there might, and again, I always say this on the show: if I have physical evidence, or I know beyond any shadow of a doubt, and I believe that it's within the public interest, I'll post it on Windows Central in an article. That makes it official. Anything we discuss here is kind of like rumors, speculation, and kind of like what ifs, unless we explicitly state otherwise. But I had heard that there may have been some talks at some point of an acquisitional nature. That's not even a word, but I don't even care. But for whatever reason, it didn't pan out. Didn't happen. And it's not happening, put it bluntly. At least my current information suggests that it's not happening. And certainly the Bungie CEOs twice shooting down this rumor suggests that it's not happening. I mean, like, why would he come out and say it's not happening, and then next week it happens or something? So, yeah, there's no story here anymore. I think Bungie probably is looking for someone to acquire them because I think their ambitions sort of go beyond what their cash flow is. I think they need support studios, and there's that whole rumor that without Activision's support, they're struggling to keep up with demand for new content and stuff like that. And again, that's speculation. I don't know. I don't have a source at Bungie or anything like that, so take that with a pinch of salt. But if I would have to speculate, Bungie's always been attached to a big publisher for support. They have big ambitions. They're not like an indie dev. They are independent, but they don't really think in terms of like small ambitions. They think in terms of big billion-dollar ambitions. So, to get to that level, you need the cash flow or you need capital, and to get that, you need publisher backing and someone to take a risk with you. And I figure that's, if there's any talks going on, it might be of that nature. Getting a publisher on board or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, Xbox ain't buying them, so time to put that one to bed, friends. And maybe Xbox Era should check its facts next time. Maybe.
Ooh. Aren't you going to be on Xbox Era soon? I know they asked me to come on as a guest.
If they did, I can't remember.
Yeah. I get asked all the time for people to come on podcasts, which I usually oblige. And I like the guys at Xbox Era. I like Mediocre Ed, aka Special Ed.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember starting out in the blogging world when I was blogging for fun back in the day, but when it comes to things like this, you just have to, check your facts.
I think the thing that they learned is that people read the title, and even if you put rumor in it, even if you put a question mark in it, people assume what you're talking about is the truth. They won't click on the article and read the entire thing. So yeah, I know, like you said, well, this may mean nothing and we're stupid, essentially. Like, maybe people smarter than us will figure it out. But the thing is, like, nobody scrolls all the way to the bottom of articles to read it. Trust me, I know, because I'll talk about stuff in a video within the first 2 minutes, and I'll get questions in my comments about the thing I answered within the first 2 minutes. People, what they do is they see the headline, and then they assume it's the truth, and they start spreading it around. And that's kind of what happened here. Even though you had the rumor part and blah, 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 people was just like, oh, and do you notice how people just assumed it was the truth? Just immediately was just like, oh, this is true. Bungie and Microsoft are being acquired. Like, there was no kind of doubt. It was just like, this is real. And if you read the whole article, yeah, they tried connecting the dots, but, at the end is like, we don't know anything about this, but nobody gets to the end. So you essentially come out there and now, like, oh, next time you do get an inside track on some information, people won't believe you because, well, aren't they the ones that said Bungie was getting acquired? And then, they weren't. So
yeah,
it's kind of.
I remember ages ago, I posted on some forum somewhere. Someone asked me, Jez, how much do you think the Xbox One X will be? I think, or the Xbox One S. I can't remember now. But like, I said something like, I think I said like $399 is the best you can hope for. But people took that to mean I was claiming it was going to be that price or something. And then for like a year, people were like, oh, well, you're the guy who said the Xbox is going to be cheaper than it is. Like, well, someone asked me to guess, man. So now I'm like really careful about how I present information, because people, like, they'll hold that shit against you, and they will banter with you about it for maybe the next year. Sorry, Ed.
Yeah. Well, because I do my prediction videos, and sometimes they're just predictions, and sometimes, like, you know what I still get a lot? The time that you said God of War was coming to PC in August, and obviously it didn't, right? But people,
I never said that.
You coughed. You said it during your cough. But people were like, "Oh, you said that, Rand." I'm like, "I sure as hell didn't say God of War was coming to PC in August." And it's like,
did I even say it was coming in August?
I don't remember what was said, but all I know is I certainly didn't say it.
Coughing, man.
And then it's like, oh, when you make predictions about stuff, like I said, Crash 4 might be exclusive to the PlayStation 5, and clearly it wasn't. But it was just a prediction I made in a video. And people like, well, you said this was happening. I'm like, no. You see, there's a difference here. Like, I'm not saying something is happening. I'm saying, hey, I think this could happen. This is a prediction. I'm not out here making cryptic tweets on Twitter saying all these things will be revealed and this is for sure 100% happening. I don't think I've ever done that. And I don't think I ever will. I'm not that type of person to do that. So, like, you always got to be careful with some of these things. But anyways, the Bungie stuff, yeah. Who knows? It'll probably end up getting bought by Tencent, wouldn't they? Tencent just going to buy it.
Yeah. Tencent's just going to buy everyone.
Or maybe Google. Maybe Google comes in there and be like, we need something for Stadia. How about Destiny? Right? I don't know.
I'm sure Google are having discussions right now about how much they actually want to get involved in this stuff. Because now that Amazon's on the field and Tencent will be on the field very soon, they really need to decide whether they want to play with the big boys and actually whip out that pocketbook. Because it's not like Google doesn't have any money. They can totally afford to play.
Yeah, but the question is do they want to spend that money? Balls, that's the thing. Is Google want to spend that money? So
yeah.
Anyways, so let's move on from that, and I do have to talk about just really briefly. Obviously, we're going to be getting to the Series X impressions and the Starfield leaks and all that stuff. I want to get some of the smaller stuff out of the way. But first, I got to give a shout out to Alchemist Star. He says, "Jez, sorry, bud, you're a guy again. Don't listen to Rand." So he apologizes for calling you Jess. What did you think, Jez, of the Super Smash Brothers announcement that Minecraft and Steve is the next fighter, and how it literally took Twitter offline?
I'm so happy for the fans because people have been messaging me about this for like 2 years or more. And shout out to all the leakers, I guess, who said it was a thing that was happening, because now that it has happened, I've heard that, it was in the works for like a really long time, squaring this deal out or whatever. But I didn't have any information on it. And whenever anyone asked me, I was like, man, I kind of have to think about, from what's Microsoft's perspective on this? What's Nintendo's perspective on this? Do they want to advertise each other's IP and stuff like that? These sort of, and also another thing, does Microsoft want to make Steve the official mascot of Minecraft? Because I know that they're sometimes they're reluctant to say Steve is the mascot because they've also got Alex as well, who they're kind of they want to make sure they're gender inclusive and stuff like that, because there's as many young girls who play Minecraft as there is guys and stuff like that. So I was often thinking about, would they do that in that context? Maybe it'd be better if a creeper was the mascot or something, because anyone can identify the creeper, right? But I don't know. But they did it in a really cool way in the end. You can play as there's 3 skins, isn't there? There's an Enderman skin, there's a Steve skin, and an Alex skin, and man, it just blew up the internet. So I'm not a big Smash player. I like it, and I played it a lot on the old systems, but I suck at the new ones so bad. It's like when I try and play it, I just get absolutely ruined, and it makes me sad. So I can either I guess I need to practice if I want to get good at it, but I'm just happy for the fans, man. I'm just happy for the fans. And I saw so many people who were salty about this, and they were like, "Oh man, we wanted Dante from Devil May Cry," or "Oh, we wanted this guy." And I'm just like, can you please shut up? Minecraft is, for an entire generation of kids, Minecraft is Mario. Minecraft is the first game a lot of these youngsters identified with, and or younger gamers in general. So I just hate that when people get all selfish and there's still a whole bunch of fighters to be announced for this DLC, this season pass or whatever. So people really need to check their entitlements.
People were pissed. I watched some videos and people were like, "I'm done with Smash. Screw this."
So sad.
And I'm just like, really? I thought that was kind of a cool announcement, Minecraft and how they changed some of the stages. I knew it was Minecraft when Mario kind of looked at the wall, and I'm like, oh, that's a dirt wall from Minecraft. I'm like, oh, this is going to be Steve. And sure enough, it was. But watching some of the reactions, granted, my stance on Nintendo, I couldn't give a rat's ass about them. I can't even tell you. I think my only time I played a Smash Brothers game was the one on GameCube, if I'm not mistaken. which
Yeah.
I didn't think it was anything special. But then again, I don't really think most of Nintendo games are special. Yeah, I said it. Sue me. What you gonna do about it? Nothing.
Rand, you've done it again.
Nothing.
You've done it again.
I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. That's just one man's opinion. Me and Nintendo, we don't get along. We don't get along. Personally, I don't think their games are good. You know, so
Wow. Rand Altomato went there, man.
I sure did.
There. But that's the thing. It's like when you've got a sound mind and you're not selfish, and there were so many people that were happy about this, and all the like YouTubers and entitled little babies who are like, "Oh, this sucks, man. We wanted this hero." Like, man, this just get over yourselves, man. Let people enjoy things for 5 bloody minutes before you start spouting your whiny little narratives into your crappy YouTube channels. So, as usual, the internet tries to ruin everything, but a lot of people were happy about it. I think it's cool, and I actually bought the DLC on the announcement because I want to try them out. Maybe I'll get good with Minecraft Steve.
Let me rephrase that. Metroid is great, so Nintendo is one great franchise.
Yeah, but they barely even use it.
Some guy says can't take Rand serious when his favorite franchise is Halo. Nothing special there. Hey man, it's your opinion, bro. Like, if you don't like Halo, you don't like Halo. I don't like anything Nintendo does. No need to get your panties in a bunch, my guy. It's always fun. When I go on Spawnwave, the Spawncast, and I go on there with Spawnwave and like OJ and Miss Click and Nate the Hate, cool, and I'll just be like, Nintendo, don't they suck? And it's just like the whole chat just they get so pissed because they all love Nintendo, and I'm just like, what? Who cares about Nintendo? You know? But that's just me. So I'm sorry, I'm very weird like that. Sherman Dr. Lecker Jacob says, any chance older Forza Motorsports become back compat? I doubt it. I think it has entirely to do with licenses. Although, Jez, did you see that Forza Motorsport 7 is going to be joining Game Pass? And I
did see that, but I imagine the music's been stripped out or changed.
I would imagine they might have had to redo some of the contracts, some of the licenses, to maybe get that game on Game Pass because.
Oh yeah, it's not the music, it's the cars.
I think it's the cars. Sorry. Because if tradition holds, Forza Horizon 3 just got delisted on September 28th. Next year, it would be Forza Motorsport 7. And I can't really see them putting Forza Motorsport 7 on Game Pass only for it to get taken off and delisted a year from now. So maybe they did some reworking of the contracts with Forza Horizon 4 and, for to have that available in Game Pass. And with Forza Motorsport probably not coming until 2022, I think it's a good idea to have Motorsport 7 in Game Pass. It's if you're into simulation racers, and they added Doom Eternal yesterday as well, which is one of the best games of this year. Top 3 for me for sure. It'd be like Ghost of Tsushima, Ori 2, and Doom Eternal. Like if you guys haven't played that game, you don't really need to play Doom 2016. To get the story gist.
Should though.
You probably should because it's a great game. But I mean, if you're understanding the story, you don't really need to play, Doom 2016 . But man, Doom Eternal is such a fantastic.
I don't know, man. It follows on pretty directly from the end of Doom, doesn't it?
I mean, like, it
I don't know. It throws you kind of in the deep end. It's like, oh, Earth's destroyed. Like, there's.
Yeah, but Doom is. I would say there's a difference between something like Last of Us, where like the throughput and the reason is the story, than Doom Eternal, which the main thing is the gameplay, right?
Yeah, that's fair, I guess.
There is a story in Doom Eternal, but it's not the focal point. The focal point is clearly the gameplay, which is 10 out of 10. Where in Last of Us Part 2, the gameplay is there. And I don't know if any of you guys watched Nakey Jakey's video about Last of Us Part 2, where he just kind of just ripped into that game. And I mean, I like Last of Us Part 2 for what it was, but it definitely had issues. The combat sections where you actually fight people in the gameplay is like 3 hours and 30. He beat it in 3 hours and 30 minutes on hard, but the game itself is about 20 hours long. So the other 17 hours is cutscenes and walking, and obviously the story is the paramount thing in there. So Adam says Nintendo doesn't use their two big IP in F-Zero and Star Fox, which makes me sad. Friendly Neighborhood Blue Shell.
F-Zero is just awesome too.
Says for a certain
you know, I hate
on
racing
Nintendo.
games. Sorry.
For a certain game on Nintendo. So he's talking about Mario Kart, I would assume.
Oh, okay. You know, like I hate racing games. Like that was something we used to talk about back in the day. Like I love F-Zero. Like even though I hate racing games, like I actually really like F-Zero. So it's like it's kind of annoying that Nintendo doesn't use that IP either. Nintendo has so much IP that they could totally afford to use if they could be bothered to add a few studios to its lineup. Like Metroid, F-Zero, Star Fox, stuff like that. That's what kind of bugs me about Nintendo, actually, more than anything, while we're on the topic. The unrealized potential, the crappy online services, the janky hardware, and I'm sorry, the hardware is awful. Like, the controller's awful, the Switch dock is awful. It's like, it's pathetic construction. Like it's toy levels of construction, but they have these like amazing ideas and they execute them in the sort of weakest possible way. Like if Microsoft's engineering team had made the Switch, for example, you know, the quality would have been way higher. I'm sorry, that's just the truth. That is the facts of it. Like my Nintendo Switch thumbsticks are drifting all over the place. I still have my goddamn launch edition Xbox One controller and it still works. You know, it still works exactly as it did when I got it. So that's the unrealized potential of Nintendo, really. If they had like great online system and they had more studios to bring F-Zero, Metroid and Star Fox and stuff like that, that could be like way better than they are. And maybe even win you over, man.
I mean, Nintendo doesn't really need to change anything. Clearly they are great at what they do for their fans. I mean,
that's why they don't realize their full potential. They don't need to.
I mean, the fans love them, man. Like anytime there's a direct, people go crazy. You know, at like all their games, all their exclusives, like constantly they sell millions upon millions, 10, 20 millions. They're always full price, even years later. I mean, just because I don't like Nintendo, like if you like Nintendo, that's great, and that clearly they're doing it for their fans because people love the Switch, and people love Nintendo's first party. So Fuzzy Belt Buffeteer asks, "Is like, were you a Sega kid?" Yes, I was actually. I know I've explained this before, but it probably goes a long way in explaining why I don't care about Nintendo. But my first system was an Atari. I'm not sure which one, but I don't have any memories of it. I just know I had it. And obviously, the first one I remember is the NES. But from the NES, I went to the Sega Genesis, Sega CD, Sega 32X, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast. Like, I didn't own a Super Nintendo. I didn't own a Nintendo 64, even though my buddies, one of my buddies we used to hang out all the time, had a 64. And I remember, like, when I was in high school, like 15 years old, I got my first job ever, which I don't know if I said on this podcast before, but I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, right? At 15.
I can go for some of that right now.
Right? And at the end of the night, they closed at 9:00, which is, early, but hey, that's the time they closed at. I would get like all the leftover biscuits and chicken and French fries and all that stuff, right? Chicken fingers or whatever you want to call it, chicken strips. And we would go over to my buddy's house and we'd sit down in his room in front of the N64 and play WCW versus NWO Revenge or WWE No Mercy, like the wrestling games. And we would just play for hours, just munching on the KFC that we got for free because I took it home and just having a blast playing, those wrestling games on the N64. But no, I didn't play any actual games on the 64 outside of maybe like Super Mario, what was the one, 64 or whatever. So yeah, so I was a Genesis kid. So, Snazzy Crowd 1212 says, Rand, bro, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland equal the UK. I meant the UK where, like, the Queen is and stuff.
English.
Like the,
Geography.
I like Scotland and Ireland, they're more...
The Queen has a property in Scotland, I think.
Well, I understand that,
Maybe.
but like when you look at like pictures of England, like I don't even downtown is the right word, but like, um,
You
proper
mean London?
London, yeah, and then you look at some of the stuff of like Ireland and the rolling green hills, and same thing with Scotland. Like that's what I'm talking about, the countryside. Now I'm sure there's probably a countryside in the United Kingdom, but when I think United Kingdom, I think of like London and jam-packed buildings and whatnot. So shout out to Assassin Lupa for becoming the newest member of the channel. Thank you for supporting my journey here on YouTube. Enjoy the emotes. Let's see what else we got here.
Oh, by the way, technically, there's something we don't advertise much, but if you're a channel member on either Rand's channel or my channel, you can join our Discord server if you want.
Yeah.
So hit one of us up in DM, we'll get you an invite.
That's right. Benedict says Astral Chain, Bayonetta, Xenoblade Chronicles, all amazing and all would be so much better in 4K 60 high res. Sad. I've yet to play Astral Chain. I do want to because I do like Platinum's games. Maybe I'll play it at some time. Aquaman says, how does Xbox enforcement reputation work? Can a person's reputation suffer and go into the avoid me category over false reports from raging toxic players? That is a good question. And I don't really know how the enforcement reputation stuff works. I would imagine
you need to ask an Xbox ambassador, maybe. I have no idea.
Or an Xbox MVP, which I am not. I'm not an ambassador and I am not an MVP. I do know a lot about Xbox, but in this particular case, I don't really know a lot about how the enforcement works. I have seen people say that if somebody gets them and all their friends together and like, false reports you, that it is possible for that to happen, but I don't know if that's just anecdotal evidence and not actually true. So you might have to ask somebody on the forums or ask an ambassador to see if that is the case. So yeah. So moving on from that, I figure, you know what? It's time to talk about the Series X, Starfield, Bethesda exclusive. So we're going to be getting into Jez's thoughts on the Series X. So if you're enjoying the show, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this out. Jez, take it away, buddy. Tell me about the Series X. And as you go, I'll think of some questions to ask you, but what do you think of the controller? Is Quick Resume really a game-changing feature? The load times really drastically cut? Like, tell me about it.
So, first of all, there are certain things I can't talk about. Like, I can't talk about the operating system because still we're on a special press-only branch and not the retail branch. I expect the retail branch has some special surprises in mind or something like that. I don't know. So don't bother asking questions about the operating system for now. But the first thing I noticed when I pulled that thing out of the box was that it's not actually as big as you think. Like for example, in our comparison video, one of the comparisons we did was against the PlayStation 2. The PlayStation 2 is a lot bigger than I remember. Like it's about as tall as a PlayStation 2 and like a billion times more powerful. And also it's pretty smart the way that it's sort of like it's not squashed flat. So it kind of like it's good to set next to like a TV or set on a cabinet. They've kind of gone more for the Amazon Echo design. As how it will fit into your setup and your home and stuff like that, rather than the DVD player design. I think they're moving away from that. But the design's great. It is heavy though. Man, you could probably kill someone with that thing. You could use it as a blunt object to bludgeon someone to death. It is a heavy boy. But it's a gorgeous piece of hardware. It just sort of fades into the background of your setup like hardware is meant to do. It's not an eyesore. It just sort of sits there next to my Amazon Echo, completely silent. Rand. I mean,
completely so it is truly silent.
There is just no noise. There's no noise. And again, I kind of haven't played anything that's designed for it yet. So nothing that really pushes the hardware. I'm sure the sound profile could be different with 4K 60 with ray tracing and stuff like that, but at least Monster Hunter at UHD 60 frames per second, no noise, just completely silent. I think it's and because there's no mechanical hard drive, you don't even get that mechanical hard drive ticking noise. It's completely silent. They've really done an amazing job there. But again, don't know for sure until we get to play something more taxing on it. I'm looking forward to seeing like how Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watch Dogs Legion run on it and stuff like that, if they are indeed optimized. I think that'll be like a true test of like how it handles that with the noise. But I got a feeling that it probably still stay pretty quiet. Like it does seem like they designed it specifically to be a quiet boy. So there's that. What else? So that's pretty much the hardware. Like the memory chip just slots straight in the back. Fine. You can hot swap them too. You don't have to like, like on PC when you disconnect a USB stick, you have to like disconnect the hardware safely and stuff like that to make sure you don't get data corruption if it's not in use or something like that. These you can just rip them out and it doesn't matter. Like you can hot swap them if you want. They're pretty small and you once you plug it in, you'll just forget about it, I guess, which is by design. But yeah, the hardware is just stunning. It just feels polished. Looks great out of the gate.
Is it a fingerprint magnet? Because I know watching Jeff Grubb stuff, it did seem like it really kind of collected fingerprints. I don't know what it is, right? Because I had the dummy units as well, and the dummy unit really did feel like a fingerprint magnet. But the unit I've got now feels less of a fingerprint magnet. I don't know if it's like got different materials or something, or if I'm just imagining it, or maybe my hands are just drier than they were before. But I think as long as you don't touch it a lot, that'll probably be a non-issue. And if you do get fingerprints on it, just wait. I've seen your pictures. And it looks like you have it upright. Now, does the airflow coming out of the top, if you put your hand over it, like, can you feel the air coming out there? And is it like hot or like hot, like?
The heat distribution is interesting, actually. So, like, running Monster Hunter, for example, and I don't have a thermal imaging camera, which some of the people on Windows Central actually have thermal imaging cameras to measure the temperature. Like when we were reviewing laptops and stuff, because you want to know if a laptop gets super hot because it throttles and it can burn your legs and stuff like that. So like Daniel Rubino and stuff, they have thermal imaging cameras for reviewing our laptops on Windows Central, but I don't have one, so I can't tell you like the exact temperature or whatever. But feeling the console itself when it's in use, running a game, the console itself actually, like literally feeling it right now, doesn't get very warm. The plastic doesn't feel warm and stuff like that. However, out of the top of it does feel quite warm. Like I actually think, like in the winter, I could probably use it to keep my room toasty. if I close all the windows, because I got double glazed windows and stuff, I reckon it would like get pretty warm in the summer. Because you got to remember, in the UK, we don't have any air conditioning. So when I'm like running an Xbox One X and a laptop and all the plugs and the PSUs and flying around and all that stuff, it can get my room pretty warm. Wouldn't necessarily be an issue in America where everyone seems to have air conditioning. I'm super jealous about this fact. But yeah, out of the top, it does feel pretty warm. Not gonna lie. Only about as warm as the One X did. So it's not like it's any warmer or worryingly warm. It's not like I'm putting my hand in fire and going, "Oh my god, my hand's burning." Just feels like the Xbox One X did, roughly the same as that, I think. But again, don't have a thermal imaging camera. I might have a look to see if I can actually pick one up and compare how hot both systems get. But I'd say it's pretty standard. Nothing surprising. But yeah, the console itself, though, weirdly, it's like cold, like the actual console. And I don't know if that's like by design that it just pushes all of the heat out of the top to keep the inside of it cool. I mean, I'd rather have the heat coming out of it than being inside it, right?
Yeah.
So I think they probably nailed the cooling because it's completely quiet. The console itself is cold, and the heat's just coming out the top. If you don't have air conditioning in the summer, I can imagine it making your room warm. But that's the same is true for the One X. So yeah, pretty cool. Moving on to the controller. Now, this is one thing that I didn't expect to be so impressed with. Like, the thing that everyone talks about with the controller is the share button, right?
Yeah.
Taking Sony and Nintendo's cues on this.
Fair
play to Sony. Sorry, go on.
Is the share button essentially just the same thing that we currently have? So it's like, um, you can. I guess what I'm asking is, are there any extra bells and whistles they put in the share? Like, because currently, like on the One X, you can record in 4K and you can capture the last 30 seconds. Or if you plug in a USB, you can capture, an hour of footage. Is it pretty much the same settings that they just have for the One X carried forward, do you think?
Well, I can't really talk about that in a way that confirms anything because again,
Okay.
I don't know if this is the final build of the operating system. But the way the share button works, it's pretty much like as you'd expect. It works, I suppose the closest comparison is the Nintendo Switch, but it even goes a little bit further than that. So on the Nintendo Switch, you do like a tap to take a screenshot, you do a long press to take a video clip. That's exactly the same as it is on the Switch. However, you can also double tap it to pull up your most recent clips for quick sharing and opening the share menu and stuff like that. I actually discovered that by mistake. Like I don't know if I actually read that you could double tap it, but I was spam tapping it to try and do like a burst shot of a monster because I really wanted to capture him in a specific pose. So I was spamming the button to try and get him, but then like it opened the recent captures menu by pure coincidence. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. So that was a nice little extra feature. But Rand, that's not the coolest thing about this new controller.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say.
Tell me, what is the coolest thing?
The coolest thing is the shoulder buttons. They are very much improved over the previous gen. So like the shoulder buttons that we have now, they have this like if anyone watching this has an Xbox controller, go and grab it right now and try this out. The current gen Xbox One controllers have like this weird flex to them where if you squeeze them in, you can actually squash them. And I feel like if you do that like hard enough, you can like damage the plastic inside. But the new controllers, they have like no flex when you press them in, which makes me feel like they'll probably have more longevity. Like they won't succumb to wear and tear as much because you can't squish them in or whatever. But also, it just makes them more tactile and it's easier to actuate things. Like for example, in Monster Hunter, the radial menu is on the left shoulder button, and it can be like annoying to squeeze in and then hold it there for like a long period of time because sometimes the way it works in Monster Hunter is it doesn't pause your game and you have to hold it down and then use the thumbstick and then click the thumbstick in to use the item you want to use. Now sometimes when you in the middle of a fight, you want to hold the shoulder button down and then run around away from the monster and then use the other stick to click on multiple things like multiple potions and buffs at the same time. And that's actually kind of hard to do with the current Xbox One controller, but it's like super easy with the Xbox Series X controller because like it's just easier to hold down and like your finger doesn't slip off it. It's a much better design. That was my favorite thing about it so far. And also the revised D-pad feels a lot more tactile as well. Whether you're using it for like just menus or whatever, or you're going to use it for fighting games and stuff. I haven't actually tried it with Killer Instinct yet. Something I'm planning to do, but D-pad's very much improved as well. I really would like to see an Xbox Elite controller with this design, but kind of don't know if we'll ever see an Elite controller again, just because of how much they cost to make.
Yeah, but
how,
I mean,
how much
aren't they also one of
at the same time?
They're also one of the best-selling accessories. Like every month, every time I look at like MPDs, so I would imagine Series 3, the Xbox Elite Series 3, will come at some point. You know?
I hope so because there are things that I really love about the Elite controller. Like the recharge dock is just supreme, great. Just drop it in there when you finish playing, and then you're pretty much guaranteed to have perpetual charge. And the paddles are useful as well. You can actually bind the paddles to like some of the record functions from the Xbox console as well. So like even if you don't have a share button, you can still get some of that functionality. But man, even my Elite Series 2, bits are falling off it. Like the rubber the rubber things on the hair trigger locks have fallen off on
Yep.
mine, which is so annoying.
I had that fall off. So if you had to choose between using the Series 2 controller or the new Xbox controller, which one would you rather use?
Man, I'm using the Elite controller purely because of the charging right now. But if I get a charge dock for the new one, I would probably switch to the new one just because of the shoulder button. The shoulder buttons are just that much improved, which is really great to see. And also the share button is just really handy if you're playing like an action-packed game. Like if I wanna take a screenshot now on without the Elite controller, I'd have to like quickly open the menu and then tap the screenshot button or whatever, which is a pain to do because Monster Hunter again doesn't pause. You can't pause it. So, and you might notice I'm seeing everything through the lens of Monster Hunter right now,
Yes.
but that's just the way it is, you know.
I think people could, it's a much better, setup to just press the button and take a screenshot, or hold the button to take a clip, or start a recording. Because I think they mentioned in those interviews about it, like you can kind of set it up to the way you want. So, like that was kind of my thing because I have a Series 2. It is kind of falling apart. I've had parts fall off, especially the hair trigger locks. But like the way people talked about the new controller, the way you're talking about it, is like, man, maybe I do want to use the new controller. And I do record a lot of stuff, for videos, and it would just be easier to do it if it's just a button press, to record some cool stuff. Hopefully they made sharing to Twitter easier and like let you upload more screenshots. I know PlayStation and Nintendo let you upload like 4 screenshots per thing. I think that would be a good change. So you like the hardware, you dig in the new controller. What about the load times? Is it like everybody says? It's like if you have it on the SSD, like we're talking massive differences. No longer waiting, you can kind of just get right into your games.
Well, it's funny, because again, I've been playing Monster Hunter, which I think so far out of the games that are available to test, Monster Hunter is probably the game that feels like it benefits the most from all the features. Because, for example, it's easy to tell how much faster I'm loading into a game. Because if I'm playing with 4 other people who are on the Xbox One with the mechanical hard drive, I've already loaded into the game and I'm still like, I'm alone fighting the monster while they're still trying to load in. Monster Hunter maps went from loading in like, I don't know, anywhere up to a minute to like a matter of seconds. I haven't done like hard measurements yet. It's something that I'm working on. But like, I don't even like, man, it's almost annoying. You sort of build up a workflow around the idea that you're going to have to wait a million years to load up into your game. So like maybe I'll start checking Twitter or start reading something and they'll be like, oh, my game already loaded, so I don't have time to multitask. It's the ultimate first world problem. But yeah, like the load times are ridiculous. But again, one of the best benefits isn't even necessarily the load times. It's fast resume, which is a total game changer.
Quick resume.
Quick resume.
Quick resume.
Yeah,
Trademarked by Microsoft. Probably.
Quick resume. Yeah, probably. It even comes up with quick resume in the top corner when you do quick resume. So I need to try and start remembering that. But yeah, quick resume is a game changer. Again, especially so for Monster Hunter. Because like in a game like Destiny, when you aren't logged on for a while, you get disconnected, right? And you have to go through the startup phase again. I'm sure they could patch it in where you could just stay in the game or whatever. Because in Monster Hunter, what happens is if you're not in the game, if you're not in the game for a while, you get disconnected, but you stay in the game in offline mode, and then you can just, as soon as you get back in, you can just reconnect. So for Monster Hunter, just being able to leave my character logged out at the mission table at all times is just amazing. Like I can just instantly get back into the game, get back playing with my friends without having to go through all the annoying sort of like menu, load up, choose a server, blah, blah, blah. It takes ages, go through all those motions. Don't have to do that. Like even forgetting the loading time, it's all those menus. You don't have to jump through them anymore. You just leave your character logged out, or you leave your character a quick resume at the mission board, and then boom, you're back in straight away. And the loading time is instant. it actually takes my TV longer to change the HDR signal than it takes the Xbox Series X to load up from Quick Resume. That's how damn good it is. So like I saw Stallion on Twitter post a video of the Quick Resume stuff, and like that isn't doctored. That's like exactly how it is. Like I can't reproduce that on video because for whatever reason my TV changes signal. It's something to do with my capture card, I think. But like when I quick resume, like my TV changes signal, the screen goes black, and then it changes like the HDR settings or something. I don't know. But like that's the only slow part of it. It's that my TV's fault. I don't know if like I could fix that by eliminating the capture card out of my setup or something. But yeah, it's a game changer, man. And no matter how many games you leave open, like I leave Minecraft dungeons logged out at the mission table, leave Monster Hunter logged out at the mission table. You can go off and play like a billion other games, and then you can just like your friends come online. It's like, oh, okay, you switch to the other game, and then you're ready to go instantly. It's just awesome, man. And once you've experienced that, there's no going back. There is no going back to Xbox One now. It's like
that was the other big takeaway I noticed from people's impressions. Like, I never want to see my One X again, and I would imagine it's the same for you. Like, please don't make me give back this. I don't want to go back to how gaming used to be, right? Essentially, like I don't want to go back to Monster Hunter World at 20, 30 frames, right? The filmic Monster Hunter, because now that you've experienced true Monster Hunter at 60 frames with quick resume, it's like you can't go backwards, right?
No, can't go backwards. It's it really is a game changer, man. The quick resume stuff, it really is a game changer. And as well for like I think, did we bitch about this on the podcast, or was I bitching about it on Twitter? I was saying somewhere that I really want someone next gen to come up with a system that sort of reminds you where you were in a game, what you were doing and stuff. Like the fact that like I can just quit. I keep calling it fast resume for some reason. The fact you can just quick resume straight back to where you were in a game sort of keeps you warranted in it. I tell you, there was one annoyance though around. Mm-hmm. I just have this. I don't know why, but I have this ingrained habit of hard closing my games.
Me too. Like
I don't know why. Like when I do this on the Xbox One all the time, but like when I'm done playing, I exit, go to the dashboard, and then I hard close the game. Because some games on the Xbox One, they don't handle the Xbox One's sort of quick resume feature very well. Like the Xbox One can quick resume one game, I think. If you've been dashboarded or whatever.
Yeah, if you kind of like go back to the dashboard and turn off your system and turn it back on or whatever, you can supposed to be able to go back in the game. But I never really used it because I don't know, I always kind of felt like the Xbox One had like memory leaks whenever you tried to keep a game quick resumed, and normally I always just play one game at a time until I finish it. So like jumping in between games really isn't something I normally do, but I know a lot of people kind of do that. But for me, like some of these games have extensive loading in the beginning. So if I'm playing like some like Metro Exodus, which if you've played Metro Exodus, you know how long that like initial load is, or something like Grand Theft Auto. Now instead of like force quitting the game, I can just, you know, go back to the dashboard and do whatever, and then next time I want to play.
Do you want me to test it?
Which game?
I'll test Metro right now.
Yeah. Well, I was saying like because like
count the second.
So instead of having to deal with everything at the beginning, it's just like you can just use quick resume to just start the game that you are already playing, and just get back to it even faster. But I guess that depends on each person's play style. So is your play style, are you like me where you play one game at a time until you're finished, or do you kind of constantly bounce around and play different stuff?
Well, often work forces me to bounce around and play different stuff, you know? So, yeah, like usually I would play one game at a time and try and complete it, but I can't do that because of work. And also, like, I play a lot of multiplayer games. So, like, being able to leave Overwatch and Monster Hunter and Minecraft Dungeons and Grounded, and I'm starting to get back into Fallout 76 as well, for better or worse. Leaving all those games sort of on quick resume would be a big help. And like, it's just super good, man. Like, PlayStation's getting this as well, right?
I mean,
It's
I don't
like
know. They haven't really been very vocal or forthcoming about any of the PlayStation 5 stuff. I would imagine, maybe.
oh,
Um,
hmm.
so what about back and pat? Because that's kind of the big thing. Obviously, like the games that you can play on Series X right now, they aren't like Assassin's Creed Valhalla or Cyberpunk or The Medium or any of these games coming out at the launch of the system. They're backwards compatible games because Microsoft's message is, hey, we at Xbox, we believe, well, they believe in generations. I've always felt that Microsoft is kind of like, we want to honor your purchase. Like, we know you're spending money with us, and we want to carry forward your digital purchases and your physical purchases because they're important to you, so therefore they're important to us. So to see like the entirety of the Xbox One, catalog be there presumably day one, alongside like the 500 360 games and the handful of the Xbox OG games. It's a cool commitment, and I've always said in this channel, I'm not really big into back and pat, but like I like the idea of whatever I buy moving forward with me. And on top of that, if I do want to go back and play some of those games, they're going to be the best. They're going to be way better than what I played before. So games.
The thing is, there's sort of like there's a misnomer here. There's like we're talking about games being back compat really, but honestly, what we're really talking about is cross-gen. Like people aren't going to stop playing Call of Duty Warzone just because they're not going to want to stop. Like, if you're playing a service title, maybe this was like the case back in the day when service games weren't much of a thing. But if you're like really big into Grand Theft Auto Online, or you're really big into Overwatch still, or you're really big into Call of Duty Warzone or whatever, you're going to want to know that those games are available day one on your system. And that's going to be the case with the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. Like, I would be annoyed and if Overwatch wasn't there on day one, because that's my go-to game for like chilling and zoning out, and Monster Hunter as well. If Monster Hunter wasn't there day and day on the Xbox Series X and S, that'd be really annoying for me. So it's not even about the backwards compatibility and carrying your games, your library forward, your purchase and your investment. It's the fact that I still want to play a lot of these games that aren't even finished yet. Like Monster Hunter's still getting updates. Call of Duty's and Apex Legends and all these other games are still getting updates. Like, it would be really annoying if they weren't on next gen, right? Like, it wasn't annoying for Xbox One in 2013, for whatever reason, because there weren't as many service type games back then. Like, I was pretty much done with every 360 game, and I was like, yeah, I'm ready for next gen now. Let's move on. And a lot of those games that I did want to play became like cross gen games, like Titanfall and Battlefield 4, was it, and stuff like that. But it's different now. Every game is a service game, and I want to play them, and I want to keep playing them, and you can on the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, so I watched Austin Evans' video about it, and he said you can actually turn quick resume off. Now, is this something you can or cannot talk about?
Well, if Austin Evans can talk about it.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, he mentioned in the video that you can turn quick resume off. And I was wondering, potentially, if that like frees up more space on the internal hard drive if you're not using quick resume, because I would imagine that's one of the reasons why it reserves so much space on the internal drive. If you're someone who's not going to use quick resume at all, can you turn it off to get some space? But I'm not sure like if that's something you can or can't talk about. But Austin Evans did say that in his video that went up on Monday.
Well, if he can talk about it, then,
Well, it sounds like you don't even know. You didn't even know that was possible.
I didn't, because I can't find the same for it in the settings. Storage, maybe? There's nothing about it there. I don't know. If you can turn it off, I don't know how. Maybe he's just heard that you'll be able to turn it off or something in the future or something. There doesn't seem to be any setting there for that. But I'm going to boot up Metro Exodus because that's what you wanted.
Well, yeah, because that initial load in between, like the from when you're in the game to the first load is close to like 2 minutes. on the One X.
Oh man, did I not install Metro Exodus?
So
I didn't install it.
yeah, I don't know.
Let's install it now during the show. I mean, I can test I test some other games. For example, I can test the Outer Worlds. So long that takes to load, or Destiny 2. That's a dog for loading, isn't it? Destiny 2.
Yeah, Destiny 2 can take some time. What about I know maybe you can't talk about the OS, but I did see some videos where people flick through the OS and it did seem pretty snappy. Can you talk about that at all? Like how
Man, it feels instant, you know. You can feel the CPU having a big impact on how fast you can get through menus and stuff like that. Like, you'll see it when you use it. It's already the Xbox One experience is fading out of my mind, and I'm trying to I can't even remember how slow the old system was. But everything loads up instantly. Like, I can load up my entire library of games and stuff like that, even though I can't run them yet. It's all instantaneous. It feels kind of like you kind of get a sense of how bad the CPU was on the previous consoles, and how outdated it was even back then, for what they were trying to do with it. Like all that picture-in-picture stuff that we used to have in the Snap mode and the Windows 8 kernel and the idea of putting apps on there and stuff like that. Right, I'm going to do an initial Destiny load now from the character select screen, so here we go.
I'd see someone spreading FUD in chat, Jazz, just like you said. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Abdul Shika says, back compat on Xbox only allows 500 games, and PS5 is going to be 4,000 on launch.
He's a liar. Ban him from the chat, please.
Ban him from the
He's
chat.
just a liar. He's just a liar.
I'll time him out. I'll time him out for his mistake.
Nah, he's lying. That's FUD, baby.
No,
he knows it's not true, and he's lying.
Well, that's the thing. I have some very, very sincere doubts that PlayStation 5 is going to be back compat with 4,000 games day one. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think within 5 years, yes, 4,000 games will be playable on the back compat. But I think anybody expecting 4,000 PS5 games to be back compat day one, I think is setting themselves up for some severe disappointment.
I think this is the fact that Sony's being so vague about that fact could amount to misleading, misinformation and stuff like that. I, as someone who does play a lot of service-driven games, I would want to know, is Overwatch going to be there on day one on PlayStation 5? Nobody will tell me. Blizzard won't tell me. PlayStation won't tell me. Kind of concerning, right? So yeah, stay tuned if you really do believe that. Yeah, however, on Xbox, the plan is for 4,000 games to be available on that.
Xbox has been very
yeah.
Well, I was just saying, Xbox has been very upfront. Like Phil Spencer's talked about that in Xbox Wire posts. The plan is to basically have everything back compat day one except for the Kinect games. And all Jim Ryan said, our buddy Tap Dancing Jim Ryan, who believed in generations until they didn't, was that, 99% of the games will work on PS4. But, when you read these statements, you got to kind of read in between the lines. He didn't say when they would work. He didn't say when you'll be able to play 99% of those games. And which is why I'm a little bit cautious on anybody that comes out and says 4,000 PlayStation games will work day one. It's like, you sure about that, bro? Because if you want to come in here and say that, I'll bet you want to make a monetary bet, because I'll take that bet. I'll bet you, I don't know, I'll bet you $500 that there won't be 4,000 games available for PS5 day one back compat. That's how confident I am in that. Jim Dance Moves Ryan. So,
dance moves.
Yeah.
Man, Destiny loaded so fast that I missed the loading screen.
But I wonder where these people I wonder where these people come up with this idea that Xbox only has 500 back compat games and PlayStation has 4,000. It couldn't be from the usual suspects who constantly try to tear down Xbox in that manner all day, every day on YouTube and Twitter, huh?
You mean those really sad people who love hating a console for some reason? So weird, man. So weird. But, whatever people use to give their lives meaning.
99% of PS4 games will be back in pat. I agree, Beats Games Life Sim. They won't be back in pat day one, though. Trust me, if you're expecting 99% of those games to be back in pat day one, you're going to be so disappointed when it's like literally like 200 games. And then people are going to be like, well, wait a minute. Well, then people will be like, well, nobody buys consoles to play old games anyways, even though like I see a ton of people excited for Spider-Man Remastered and Demon Souls remake. You know what I mean? Like, you're not excited to play old games? It's a PS3 game and a remake of a 2-year-old game that people are kind of losing their minds about. Like, okay.
Speaking of losing their minds over Spider-Man.
So is there anything else you want to talk about the Series X before we talk about some of the other stuff? Anything you want to mention?
Well, I just loaded into Destiny and it was so fast I didn't even clock how long it takes to load. Like what counts as loading in Destiny? Is it like the spaceship flying down to the planet?
Yeah,
that was basically instant.
Yeah, when you're in, well, you would have to get like Lord Cognito or Gaming Forte is a huge Destiny nut. He's in chat right now. Yeah, usually if you're in space and then you go to the directory, I think it's directory, and you click on a planet to go to, and then the ship flies. That's the loading. From
how the hell do I exit? Okay, I'm gonna open the director now. Opening director. Okay, that's wrong. I'm gonna return to orbit. Right, I'm returning to orbit from Earth. There we go. Boom, return to orbit. And 1, 2, there. That's instant. So now if I go, that took 2 seconds to go back, but maybe that's usual. Like I don't play Destiny, so I don't know. And if I go to Eurozone and then down to the Gulch landing zone, launching in 3, 2, 1. That's the game holding me up there. So now I'm flying in the ship, and now it's landing. That's it. Was that it?
I mean,
that was it.
I guess. I don't know. I haven't played Destiny in a while.
Okay, no, I'm flying this guy now for about 5 seconds. 6, 7, 8. There we go. Now I'm flying down and landed. It feels like the animation is bottlenecking me here more than the load speed. Now I'm landed. So that was like counting the animations too. That was like, I don't know, about 15 seconds in total.
Forte says flying between planets takes, I would assume he means 1 minute and 15 seconds is what he says. Flying between the planets.
Okay, so flying between the planets. Do I have to go to orbit to do that?
I would mean like you're in the planet, you go to orbit, you pick the next planet, and you go to it. He says it's like 1 minute 15, assuming that's what he's talking about.
Oh, okay, well that whole thing took me about 20 seconds, and that was bottlenecked by the flight animations.
Yeah,
so
but that game's
pretty quick.
That game's not in 60 frames yet, right? I'm assuming the Series X patch isn't available.
No.
Yeah, it's still only still Filmic 30. Disgusting.
Yeah, that is
Filmic
still
30.
Yeah, that is still definitely a Filmic game. But like, if I load State of Decay, I'm on the splash screen. The State of Decay is a game that had a pretty long load screen because it has to load up that massive world and all the procedural stuff along with it. I presume this is an Xbox Series X enhanced, right?
No, I doubt it. I doubt there's any games available to anybody that are Series X enhanced. But I want to give a big shout out to the 2,500 people watching live. Hope you guys are enjoying the show and Jez's impressions of the Series X. I know it's an exciting time. We're about a month away from the new consoles. If you're enjoying the podcast, make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new here, if this is your first time, say hi in the chat and hit that subscribe button. So anything else you want to mention, Jez, about the Series X before we move on to Starfield and the Bungie and the Bethesda stuff? I want the console now. I just want it now. I don't want to play my One X anymore. I'm sorry.
No, I'm so done with the Xbox One gen. After experiencing quick resume and these like loading speeds, it's just crazy. Like if I'm continuing a game now in State of Decay, I just hit continue game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There we go, loaded. So that was like 9 seconds, and I'm in the game now. I'm pretty sure that was like over 1 minute loading time, and also 60 frames per second. Was State of Decay filmic?
I don't
Before?
know. I don't know what State of Decay. I don't remember what State of Decay 2 ran at, to be honest.
Well, State of Decay is no longer filmic. It's now 60 frames per second. But I can't remember if if it was 60 frames before or not. Oh man, I got a lot of testing to do. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was not 60 frames before. But now it is, and it loads in 10 seconds, and I can just leave my dude fast resume over here and come back and play it whenever I want. It's like it's just all the little things coming together. And this is before actually getting our hands on real next gen games like Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and Cyberpunk and stuff like that. And Cyberpunk isn't even getting the full blown optimization till next year.
Yeah.
I think like the games will probably like become more impressive later in the gen, in 2021, 2022, and it'll be the same for PlayStation as well, as the developers learn the tools and stuff like that. Like if you look back at the Xbox 360, the architecture didn't change very much throughout the whole gen, but the difference in quality from the start of the gen to the end of the gen is like night and day. So it's really exciting to see what these devs are going to pull out of this system. Everything just feels right. Like it almost feels like the whole Xbox One gen was like a beta test leading towards this. Like they've refined the dashboard to exactly where it needs to be. All the features, they built up this massive library of forwards compatible games. This forward-looking system where you can take all the content you buy and put it on any service and stuff like that. It all feels like it built up to this moment, and now we're here, and it's going to be lit, baby.
Well, I mean,
so what the cool kids say.
I'm also really impressed that Microsoft has given units to like almost everybody. Over a month before the system is even scheduled to come out. Like I remember they sent out the review units for Xbox One X maybe like a week or two beforehand. It wasn't like a month beforehand. So like I've always
it's crazy confident, man. Especially they don't do this for Surface or anything like that.
Well, especially like this year, 2020 being the year it is, the year from hell. Everybody's working at home and they still were able to pull this off. To get the systems out and for previews. Yeah, granted, back and pet may not be the most important thing to you, but loading affects everybody. Like the fact that the load times are going to be greatly reduced, and that's for games that aren't even optimized for the SSD. So like it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when you get a game that is optimized for it and see what the load times like that are and how quick resume is going to change how people play their games. It's all incredibly exciting. And I can't wait for Microsoft to open up, let people talk about more of their experiences, because I'm assuming it's like the embargo is layered. Like I would imagine Monday we'll probably get more information about stuff, and the Monday after that, it's just I don't know. Microsoft just seems and they've been like this ever since they revealed the system and at the VGAs. Like they've been supremely confident in the hardware that the team's built, and that really shines through in everything they've been doing regarding the marketing of the hardware. The only thing that like you could really criticize them for is like the lack of like new like Series X games being showcased. But other than that, I think they've essentially like nailed everything about the system so far. So
I think they probably had a choice between going with older silicon like RDNA 1 or holding out for RDNA 2 and then building on that instead, to have like a gen where they don't need to do a mid-gen upgrade or there's like less of a necessity to do that. Like the fact that they waited for full-blown RDNA 2 means that they get the more efficient system, they get the more powerful features and stuff like that. And maybe that will have some impact on dev tools and stuff like that, just purely to speculate. But I think like it was the right decision to make, even if it means like we might have to wait a little bit longer for games like Hellblade and stuff like that to be in a demonstrable fashion or demonstrable state. But I'm excited, man. I'm so ready to ditch my Xbox One. In fact, I already have. Gave it to my cousin.
Jeez, already.
Which is stupid of me because and I wanted to play Star Wars Squadrons, and I can't. So I'm like, oh no, I gave my Xbox to my cousin too early. But I just loaded into Doom Eternal in seconds, like, and it looks just stunning, man.
Yeah, and that game's getting updated for free with the Series X as well. So I mean, I will probably check it out again. I don't know. I'm just really excited, but I'm gonna read some of your guys' super chats because I know they kind of backed up, but I wanted Jez to give his full thoughts on some of this. So Chaos Smite says, Jez, going to Scotland to you is like going up north for me in Michigan, to northern Michigan of the Lower Peninsula. Sorry for being behind in chat. Aquaman says, how far along is the initiative's new Xbox IP? What do you think, Jez? How far along do you think their new game is?
Man, I have no idea. It's really hard to get like solid sort of information about inside information from game studios because it's just people don't leak that stuff, and I think like even if I did have inside knowledge about a game specifically, I wouldn't really leak it because those announcements belong to the devs and the artists and stuff like that. But it's just purely hard to speculate. Building a studio from scratch, making all those hires, building up a company culture, working out a workflow in the middle of a pandemic, meaning that everyone now has to work from home because Microsoft, has a very aggressive work from home policy. It's gonna not be easy. So, I don't even want to speculate. I mean, we could see it soon. We could see it not soon. I don't know. It could go either way.
I mean,
depends on the scope of the game they want to make, really.
Matt Booty did say we'd see it this year, but that was earlier in the year. Plans could have changed. I mean, I still think it's possible we see it at the Game Awards, maybe like a CGI trailer or something. But now that Microsoft also has Bethesda, does Microsoft change plans and show Starfield a quick gameplay, a quick teaser at the VGAs or something? There's so many things they can do now. So, I just let them take as long as they need to make that game, So I'm not expecting it to come out for years now anyways. So, yeah. Assassin Lupa says, you followed me on Xbox Live, so it's only right I follow your channel. Also, you guys rock. Loving the show. Thank you, Lupa. Atrocity Knight says, can you talk about the console streaming? Does it look and run better than using cloud? I actually haven't used console streaming for whatever reason.
I think he means from the Series X, maybe.
Console stream. Well, can't you use console streaming right now in the new Xbox app on Android and Apple? You can stream. You can stream. It's like basically what the PS4's remote play is.
Yeah, like that. That's a good question, actually. Like, does the Xbox Series X enhance the console streaming experience? Because you're effectively
streaming your console.
Got a better system. Yeah, you got a better system for it. I will try that and write about it. That's a good question, but I don't know off heart because I haven't thought to try it yet myself.
Well, yeah. So the difference to console streaming is it's literally just streaming the game from your console to your phone. So I would imagine, if you're using it on the Xbox One versus the Xbox One X, the One X would have it run and look like, because the cloud, like if you're using it xCloud, that's the Xbox One S in the cloud that Microsoft owns, and they're beaming it to you. Whereas, like, if you're using console streaming, that is just your console. So maybe it would be better. Yeah. I would think.
I imagine it'll definitely load your games faster, which is what you want when you're on mobile, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to like how they look and stuff like that, I have no idea. I guess the only thing to do is try it out, and I'll write about it on Windows Central. But I'm just rocking some Doom right now, and it is flying, man. Did it have like dynamic resolution?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. Dynamic 4K at 60 frames. Yeah,
dude, I swear it just seems sharper. Like if it was dynamic before, now it's like no longer dynamic because it doesn't need to scale down. It just looks. It's just stunning, man. 4K 60.
It's gonna be interesting to see what the upgrade is. Like we already know it's getting upgraded, so it'll probably be 4K 60, or maybe they had ray tracing. I don't know.
But it already feels 4K 60, like what I'm experiencing right now. But I don't have empirical tools to measure it like your boy Digital
Still,
Foundry.
it's absolutely.
Did they test Doom?
I don't think they
Sorry,
tested Doom. I think it's at. You know what's crazy part is that Microsoft owns Doom. They own.
Microsoft owns Doom.
They own id Software now, and they own id Tech 7, the engine. I mean, it's still kind of crazy to wrap your head around the fact that Microsoft literally bought 8 new studios 2 weeks ago, and like that's all people want to talk about. Like every time DMs and in the Discord, I'm in the Xbox Illuminati Discord that people call it. You know, the Xbox era Discord, the ones that
Xbox Illuminati.
Oh yeah, that's because a lot of the PlayStation guys feel that this Discord is where all the bad rumors about the PlayStation 5 start. About how it's how it's RDNA 1, or how the back compat doesn't work properly, or any of the bad things.
Isn't that confirmed?
That it's RDNA 1? No, it's definitely not confirmed.
Oh, I'm spreading FUD now. I thought it was confirmed.
I don't think so. I mean, they say it's RDNA 2. I'm just saying a lot of the PlayStation fans don't like the Xbox era because they feel it's the Illuminati. And, like, this is where all the bad rumors... They made up GitHub. You remember the whole GitHub thing? With the...
Oh, right.
They made it up.
True?
Yeah, well, of course it ended up being true. I mean, surprise.
How do you use the grappling hook in Doom? I forgot.
How do you use the grapple hook in Doom? You have to use a shotgun. The double-barrel shotgun has it.
Yeah, that's right. But...
Paul Garvin, he just donated $3. Appreciate that. Replicant says, Jez, any chance I can borrow your Series X? I won't tell Phil. Jez, I don't think Jez is going to give that up. Drunken Ninja says, great show, guys.
Nobody's touching this.
Jez, is there more that's going to be shown with the Series X these coming weeks before launch? I feel like BC is not the only thing left. Well, if Jez can say, I'm sure he's not allowed to, but I would imagine, considering it's almost been every single week we've gotten something, I would imagine we'll see more information next week about the Series X, and probably every week leading up to launch. That's my own personal speculation. So, Tom Legg says, I started quitting out of games when I played Jurassic Park Evolution. If I didn't do that, then when I zoomed the next day, I couldn't earn achievements anymore. Yeah, there's always some funky things with that, especially at the beginning of the Xbox One gen. So that's why I always force quit everything. Anthony says, is it true that Series X is Wi-Fi 5 and PS5 is Wi-Fi 6? I believe that is the case.
Yeah, I believe that is true. I mean, does it matter? Probably not. But, you know, it is weird that we don't have Wi-Fi 6, but at the same time, like my ISP doesn't even offer Wi-Fi 6 yet. I'd rather have the flops than the Wi-Fi 6 right now, especially since I'm hardwired into my console, which is always nice.
Yeah, RDX.
It does feel like an oversight.
RDX Devin Nunes says Xbox is launching with an 8K game. That is true. I think the Falconeer announced that they'll have a 6K resolution mode and an 8K resolution mode, I believe, right?
Yeah, I did see that. That is interesting. The Falconeer is a really interesting game from a technical perspective because the rendering system is purely mathematical or something. It's above my head, frankly. But there is some developer magic going on with that game, so I'm intrigued. I'm sure not many of us are going to have 8K monitors available to try on that resolution though. But it's awesome to see them push that tech.
Yeah. Sin Vendetta says, Ranjez, when are we going to get the deep dive preview impressions for the PlayStation 5? There are still so many questions. Why are Sony so silent? That is definitely very interesting. I know there's a Japanese YouTuber thing on the October 4th where they play the PlayStation 5, but I believe they're just playing Astrobot. I know a lot of...
Astrobot?
Yeah, well, the Astrobot game that's like bundled in with the system. The one that like Jeff Keighley played. I don't know why they're so quiet about stuff. Could be many reasons. Maybe they feel it's just not time yet. I don't know. Like it is weird that they haven't talked about back compat or detailed how it works. It is weird that they haven't shown anything about the user interface when they teased it all the way back in June. It's weird that we haven't seen physical consoles yet. I know, and it makes it even more stark contrast when Xbox has sent out all these Series X to YouTubers and influencers, so people have the hardware and people are playing with it, using the controllers, using the back and pat, the quick resume. And on the flip side, like, I don't think anybody's seen a PS5 in person yet, and it comes out in a month. So I don't know. Does Sony have another event this month? Is it possible they have 3 for the year? Where they still showcase some things, or maybe they have a breakdown or teardown. I don't know. I don't know why Sony's been very silent about it. I mean, they can't be silent about it for much longer. I mean, the system comes out in a month, so people are going to have it. Digital Foundry will have it. We'll know the truth, about things. So RDX Devin Nunes says Falconeer is going to be 8K on the Series X. Indeed. Justin Adams says this is kind of exciting content we pay for. Just counting to 9. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I was like, when I was counting that, I was like, oh, maybe this was a bad idea for entertainment purposes, but I was a little bit relieved when it hit 9 and not like 20 or something.
Yeah.
I was going to stop counting at 10. So
Nightwolf says you two are always a hoot.
Podcasting.
Curious, can we talk and speculate as to what Starfield will be about? My hopes are a console version of Star Citizen. Yeah, so I figured we'll talk about that game now. We have another one from Gordon Rezick. Just started today's podcast, but question for Jez. Any updates on Chromium Edge on Xbox? You guys are always fun to spend the afternoon with.
Oh, that's a very, very good question. I want to say that they are probably looking at porting it because UWP Edge is dead. And Microsoft has been porting a lot of the more advanced development tools like React Native to Xbox, which is why the new store actually runs well and isn't a piece of crap. Because UWP is bad, and Microsoft should really stop making apps with it. But yeah, I want to say yes, they will be looking at bringing that, but at the same time, it's probably a matter of priorities because not a lot of people probably actually use the web browser on their console. So they're probably like, let's make sure we've got all the important stuff down first and then move on to the extra stuff later. I certainly don't ever use the web browser. Even if it was good, I don't think I'd use it because I don't have a mouse hooked up to my computer. But it's nice. It's nice in a pinch if some games like let you sign up for betas through the web browser and stuff like that. And I think letting UWP Edge die like the dog it is probably the nice thing to do right now. But yeah, there's that.
All right.
I'll have to wait and see.
Stodgy Caesar says, why does Jez support Aston Villa?
Aston Villa? Oh, man. Where did that come from?
I don't know. I'm just reading it. I have no idea what that means.
I think I mentioned it somewhere on Twitter or maybe on another podcast. It rings a bell. Man, my brain's so full of stuff that I need to do. I can never remember anything anymore. Maybe like I've got some kind of brain disease or something. But I said somewhere that I didn't know anything about football. Aston Villa is a football team in the UK. Or it's a soccer team in the UK.
Soccer team. Okay.
Soccer team, as you said.
Is that are you trying to do an impression of an American accent there?
That's Randall Tomato accent. Man.
That's Randall Tomato. Team. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
I don't support Aston Villa. It's just the only football team that I knew anything about when I was a kid. That's it.
Mariana Pampa says, hey guys, you think we are ever going to see what the other studios that weren't shown at the July event are working on? Love the show. Thank you. Yeah, probably next year at E3 or whatever they do for E3. Unless they do something for the launch of the Series X, like a XO event, like XO 2020. Unless they do something like that, maybe.
XO, I could do like XO Live, which is like a remote thing, maybe. Yeah, I think I would like to see more from like... The thing is, man, they've got so many studios now. They can afford to not hold back. Just tell us what everyone's working on, Microsoft. You've got like 1 million studios now, all making 1 billion exclusive games. You've got like the megatons cards you can hold back. Tell us what I want to know what Compulsion's working on. I want to see more State of Decay. I want to see all these other games, Just tell us. Tell us, Microsoft. Don't be shy. That's my thoughts on that.
Well, thank you for your thoughts. RDX Devin Nunes says, "Hey, there's a rapper with PS5, but no one else." That is true. Travis Scott did, tweet a picture. So maybe people do have PS5s, and we just they're just waiting on the embargo to drop. But you would think like one of the first persons that would get it is Greg Miller, and Greg Miller has a Series X now. So can't wait. I can't wait to read more information from many different people, but I kind of want a new embargo to lift so I can get more information rather than just like, hey, like once you have Digital Foundry come out and like say how much better the back and pad is, like you don't really need to listen to anybody else's opinions about it, because it's like they're the tech guys. They're like, this is amazing, like, blah 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 blah. It's like you don't really need to hear Greg Miller's or anybody else's opinions about back and pad, because technically, like the experts are saying like it's super impressive,
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you guys and anybody that became a channel member, like Mr. Gaming Forte, appreciate it. Nightwolf says, I have to hear Jez do another American accent from now on, so people want you to do another accent. Man. So
I'd have to practice, man. I'd have to practice.
Yeah, Jez isn't very good about that. So, Jez kind of hinted at it. Spider-Man and Peter Parker. So,
Spider-Bro.
So for Spider-Man Remastered, a game that's 2 years old, getting remastered for the PS5, getting a 60 frames mode, which is great. It almost makes me wish I played that. I didn't play that game because, God, that game's going to be so good in 60 frames. And then obviously like a 4K 30 mode with ray tracing and all that stuff. They literally changed the face actor from the game, and people had opinions about that on Twitter. People had
yes, they did.
People either really liked it, but man, oh man, there was definitely a lot of people who despised it. Like, oh my! And I will say, when I first saw it, it was really weird. I sat there and I looked at it, I'm like, I was like, what? Like, why would you do this? Like, he looks really young now. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, Miles is supposed to be younger.
To be young?
Well, yeah, he's supposed to be young, but now Miles looks older than Spider-Man, Peter Parker, right? So I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, it looks weird at first, but I'm sure people will get used to it. I don't know. I think people they played Spider-Man 2018 so much, they watched all the cutscenes, they got attached to Peter Parker and what he looked like, and now he kind of looks like Tom Holland a little bit, the actor who plays Spider-Man in the MCU, and it's just kind of a weird change. And they explain it by saying they needed to have a face actor that was more in line with like the voice acting from Yuri. And and it does, like, if you look at comparison screenshots, it does look better. Like it's just I don't know. I can't think of another game that's done this, where like they change the main character's face. Can anybody in chat think of another game that's changed? Like, not for like, like Saints Row, where like, your face got screwed up, so now you can change it to whatever you want, or what have you, or any for story reasons. Like, literally just, hey, we changed the face just because, for X, Y, and Z reasons. Because I can't think of one.
I can't think of one either. I can think of, like, in Mass Effect Andromeda, they, like, tried to improve some of the faces, but it wasn't like this, really, I think.
Yeah. This is really weird. Tomb Raider, yeah, I guess, yeah, Tomb Raider, they might have
changed
a little bit.
People, I remember one of my friends being like, "Oh my God, Jez, did you see?" I was like, "What? And they're like, "They changed Laura's face," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." Like, yeah, I remember people being mad about that, but I didn't think Laura looked that different. Not like as drastic as this. Like, Lara looked like the same person, kind of, but this looks like completely different. But at the same time, I think the new face looks fine. And why not? I think, like, it's ultimately up to the artists what they want their game to be like. And if they want to change it, then cool, I don't think it's like it looks any worse, personally.
Yeah, people are saying Last of Us Part 2, and I guess you could say they changed from part 1 to 2, but you could maybe explain it by the fact that she was a young kid and she grew up, so maybe, you know, her face kind of more fleshed out. I get what people are saying with that. Fuzzy Belvedere says God of War. I mean, he's got a beard. Like, I don't know. He's supposed to be older.
I've seen videos of like showing what the modern God of War looks like without a beard, and it's like pretty close. To like those classic games.
Someone mentioned it. I did see it pop up. Phoenix. Chris Redfield. Yeah, Chris Redfield changes like almost in every Resident Evil game. 100%.
Chris Redfield's addicted to plastic surgery. That's how you can explain that.
Yeah.
Or maybe like all those first aid sprays like have an effect on your skin. Like if a zombie rips half your face off and then you fix it with first aid spray, that must have an effect on the way you look, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Chris punched so many rocks that he got like extra muscles in his face.
Yeah, so moving on from that, which what are you I'm curious. Anybody going to get the Spider-Man remaster? Gaming Forte says some people think it could be contract related with the previous actor. I guess that's always a possibility. Maybe they put this new actor also into the Spider-Man version on Marvel Avengers. Maybe the other actor wasn't available to be in like Spider-Man Miles Morales or Spider-Man 2, so they had to change it. I just think he looks a little bit young, like too young, but I'm sure I'll get over it. But I was just kind of curious to see if anybody's interested in replaying Spider-Man Remastered who's already played it on the PlayStation 5. Like, I want to play Spider-Man Miles Morales, but I'm not really interested in playing Spider-Man Remastered. Like, the game's 2 years old, and while I would like to have played it in 60 frames, I don't know. The fact that also if I want to get it, it's like I have to spend an extra 20 and, you know, get it with the Spider-Man Miles Morales game instead of like having it as a free upgrade is kind of a little bit disappointing. So I don't know. I don't know, because I'm gonna game share with my buddy on PlayStation 5, and he didn't have a PlayStation 4 this gen, so maybe I'll buy Demon's Souls and then he can buy himself the Miles game, and then if he wants to play the original Spider-Man, he can play it, and then I'll have access to it, because game share, why wouldn't you game share, is what I'm trying to say. Why wouldn't you? If you have an Xbox or PlayStation and you have someone you really trust, game share with them. You know, split buying the games, and you'll save yourself a lot of money doing so. Yeah, so I guess someone said don't forget about Starfield. Yeah, so we'll talk about Starfield.
Oh yeah, Starfield.
Well, first, Face says, did Spider-Man Remastered convince you that it's more than a typical upgrade? Not really. I mean, I'd have to get my hands on it, but it doesn't really seem that much different than a typical, like, I would imagine The Witcher 3, whenever CD Projekt Red upgrades that game with ray tracing and everything, it'll have just as many features as Spider-Man, but one of them will be free and one of them is essentially locked to a $70 version of a game. But
yeah,
CD Projekt Red though.
Oh man, CD Projekt Red like are kind of unique in the fact that they. I mean, I don't want to say it's all to do with this, because I don't know the full-blown logistics of it. But CD Projekt Red is backed by the Polish government, which means that they can potentially do stuff that a lot of other independent studios haven't been able to cash flow. And but yeah, Sony isn't an independent studio, so there's certainly an argument to be made that they should just give that for their fans, because you know damn well Microsoft would do it. You know damn well Microsoft would give away upgrades for free, and they are with Gears of War. Gears of War is getting ray tracing 120 FPS and all that stuff. So I don't think there's much of an excuse for it. They should do that for their fans and do that for the people who supported the game and supported Sony and bought the game and stuff like that. They can afford to do it, as like everyone on Twitter tells me, Sony's swimming in cash. So why don't they do that? So yeah, it is what it is. Is what it is. That's my new catchphrase, man.
Is what it is. Shout out to Red Cloud Gamer for becoming the newest member. Enjoy your emotes, buddy, and thank you for supporting the journey on YouTube. So Starfield, Jez, did you see these screenshot leaks supposedly of Starfield?
Yeah,
Is it
Starfield.
interesting
I did
that
see the leaks.
a week after Microsoft acquires them, suddenly screenshots pop up for a game that people are wondering what the game was about for 2 years now, since they announced it back in 2018, and Microsoft finally buys the company. It's like, here's what Starfield looks like, granted a 2018 build.
Yeah, it's almost as if someone was salty or something. But if they are indeed real, but right now I'm gonna assume they are real for the sake of our conversation. And I have no idea if they're real, personally, on my end. I haven't really looked into it yet. Man, I'm just so busy. There's like so many things I want to do. Like I wanted to chase this up, but I just haven't been able to do it. I got like the ultimate first world problems right now. But alas, let's just assume those pictures are real, Rand, for the sake of argument.
Okay, let's assume so.
What kind of game does it look like to you? I think like when someone said that it could be like, a sort of what's it called now? Like No Man's Sky kind of game, or maybe something more ambitious in scope, like Star Citizen, but actually delivering the game instead of a glorified venture capital money raising machine. Do you think it could be something on that kind of scope? Think they're going to take on Star Citizen? They're going to let us live in space with like all that creation engine amazingness of building our own spaceships and making outposts and stuff like No Man's Sky? I don't know.
Well, it definitely seemed like a more grounded space game, like from the suit and from the like the O2 meter. Even the way the ships and some of the buildings were, it definitely seemed like maybe a little bit more grounded in reality than like a fantastical space adventure like No Man's Sky or something. It's going to be really interesting because Microsoft, when they bought Bethesda, they didn't really talk about Elder Scrolls. They didn't talk about Doom. They didn't talk about Dishonored or Prey, other than putting up the image, right? That image of everything. But like when Phil Spencer talked in interviews and on the Xbox Wire, and even in Microsoft's official PR, they always made sure to mention Starfield and how Starfield was coming to Game Pass, PC, and Xbox, right? And then in the announcement for EA Play coming on November 10th to Game Pass members, no additional cost. Just, hey, if you're a Game Pass Ultimate member on November 10th, you're going to have all of EA's games that are currently in EA Play just in the service for you to play. I hope they add Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because that game's fantastic. You should test that game in back and pat if you can, because that game had some horrible frame rate issues on the One X in performance mode. I would imagine those are alleviated. And I kind of wanted Digital Foundry to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't think that game's currently available to testers. But, oh man, I don't think I can talk about it. Just stay tuned for that game.
So, what I was going to say is that in this PR piece about EA Play, they also made sure to mention once again that Starfield is coming. And it kind of got me thinking. It's like, man, they really have been name-dropping Starfield a lot. And the game was originally revealed in 2018. This leaker said that these screenshots were from an internal build in 2018 and that the game is scheduled for release in 2021. So, like, with Microsoft really talking and hyping up Starfield the way they have been, I kind of want to assume that it's true, that Starfield will launch. Like, in my mind, you delayed Halo from 2020. Yeah, it sucks, but hopefully Halo's a better product. Halo comes out in May, right? You're going to be riding high on the sales of X and S from the hardcore from November and December. Obviously, sales will probably taper off January, February, especially, like, who knows with the economy and who knows what happens with, the election and everything coming soon. Like, I don't know what the hell the world is going to look like in 2021, but you're gonna need some games. So Microsoft has a Halo game, Halo Infinite. I would guess if I was Microsoft, maybe May. Like, okay, so you have Halo in like, quarter, what would it be, quarter 2? But like essentially the first half of the year. And then at the end of the year, November or September, you drop Starfield. this huge space epic RPG from Todd Howard and company, and that game's in Game Pass day one. It's on PC. It's streamable. I don't know. I kind of think that's the plan. Like that's the plan, don't you?
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me. And also, upcoming game event like, I don't know, an EXO or Game Awards would be a pretty good way to introduce the Xbox Windows 10 exclusive Starfield. And then maybe drop a launch date. Alexa, shut up. I'm podcasting. God. But that'd be a pretty good time to, reveal that at one of these upcoming events. If it is indeed coming out in 2021, because if it is coming out in 2021, where else would you announce it, right?
Like Bethesda's always been about announcing games really close to their release date. They did it with Fallout 4. They did it with Fallout 76, if I'm not mistaken. They did announce Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo the year before, but lately Bethesda's been like all about announcing games and showing them super close to release. Like I think Elder Scrolls 6 is years away. I don't think Elder Scrolls 6 is coming until 2024. No,
it sounds like Elder Scrolls 6 is associated with a big technology upgrade as well, judging from that podcasting they did. So yeah, I would agree. Man, I hope to God that it's not a service game. Please just give me a great single player RPG experience. I need Elder Scrolls to be Elder Scrolls and not some crazy multiplayer experiment.
Well, don't they
already
have
I'm going to be disappointed.
Yeah, but don't they already like that? Don't they already have the crazy multiplayer Elder Scrolls experience called Elder Scrolls Online? Why would you need to turn Elder Scrolls 6 into that?
Because that was made by ZeniMax Online Studios, and maybe it was a bit of a cash-in and not necessarily what the core teams wanted to make. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
I don't know. I also kind of like the team's probably looking at Fallout 76, and it was like, yeah, we screwed that up, so why don't we also take the biggest franchise we have and potentially screw that up again? I could maybe see Elder Scrolls 6 adding co-op or something. But as like a full-on games as a service game, like, do you remember how much like Skyrim sold? I think it sold over 20 million copies. It's like one of the biggest games of last gen. It's huge. Yeah. Like, why? Like, I know why the companies want to go into like live service games so they can get constant recurring revenue all the time. But judging from all the games as a service games that have launched this gen, and you just look at the most recent one, Marvel Avengers, they're never good when they launch. Can you name a single one of them? Well, okay, I could probably name a single one. Apex Legends was really good when it launched, but I think that's because of the developmental team. I think that's because Respawn is an amazing developer. But when you go back and look at the history of like live service games, like most of them aren't very good out of the gate. They usually take a year or so to get their wings underneath them. I guess would you say Overwatch is a live service game?
That's a weird one to say.
Skyrim sold over 35 million
like...
copies. So like Skyrim sold over 35 million copies. Why would you risk changing the formula in Elder Scrolls 6? Like
the problem is, Rand, it's because exactly of something that you said. That you said Fallout was a failure and a flop. But it made a lot of money, man.
Did Fallout make a lot of money? You sure about that?
Yeah, I am. And it's got a lot of concurrent players. And it's got a lot of people buying DLC. And it's got a lot of people subscribing to Fallout First. Whenever I log on to Fallout, you can actually see Fallout First subscribers on the map. There's tons of them, man. They're all paying monthly to play that game and get like dedicated server like Minecraft Realms and stuff like that. That game is a lot bigger than people think. And my concern is that they're like, okay, and like you say, Fallout was a flop and they shouldn't want to do that. But what if they're thinking, okay, we screwed up a lot of things in Fallout. How can we learn from that and then do it again but better? That's my concern. And maybe they'll think like, okay, we screwed up Fallout 76, but look, it is making a load of money. So why don't we try and do something like that again, but less messy? That's my concern. I just want it to be I just want it to be an Elder Scrolls, man. I don't want it to be this. I don't want it to be another multiplayer experiment. Please, just give me this. Just before the apocalypse takes us all, can we just have one more good Elder Scrolls
Yeah,
game?
but Jez, you already said,
please?
please, can I live to see CD Projekt Red put out Cyberpunk? And it looks
Yeah,
like
well,
you will.
I'm moving.
And now,
I'm moving the
you're,
goalpost.
now you're
man.
like, can I get another 4 years until Elder Scrolls 6 is available, please?
Dude, I am moving the goalposts. Deal with it. Everyone else moves the goalposts.
Yeah, everybody sure else does move the goalposts all the time. Definitely. As in the addition of Xbox Game Studios, like, you're gonna reach a point where there's gonna be just constant games all the time, and then like every event, there's gonna be new announcements about games. Essentially, it's this is. I think next gen is probably gonna be the best gen for Xbox, and maybe ever, but at least on par with the 360. As far as like game wise, which is the most important thing. And when you have a console as powerful as Series X, you won't have to wait as long, and hopefully most of the games are going to be at 60 frames. Like some of those games, don't necessarily need to be 60. Like walking sims can be 30 because you don't really need the frame rate for them. But definitely really exciting. And RDX Devin Nunes says in chat, it's an interesting question. He says, "You think with Quick Resume it makes it more of a reason to buy digital copies of games?" I would assume, like, yeah, because you can't quick resume 5 different games because you would need to have the disc and the drive to validate that you own it, right?
I guess that's why you can turn it off, because Microsoft acknowledges that there's still collectors out there and stuff like that, and also retail still exists, I guess, for now. And a lot of people still do buy physical games. So maybe that's why they have the option of turning it off if you are someone who's going to not use it anyway because you're playing entirely from discs. If indeed there is that option, because I can't find it. So, yeah, I guess it is pointless. You won't benefit from fast resume if you're on discs. I haven't bought disc since the start of the Xbox One gen. But I started buying digital like in the 360 era. As soon as game devs started giving me an extra way to be lazy, I was all over that, man. I was like, yeah, I'm no more trips out of bed to the shelf for me, baby. I'm just gonna switch the games digitally right from the comfort of my bed. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on that.
Anyways,
I was like, Anyways,
interesting. You want to take some questions?
Yeah, man. But I want to know first, before we move on. Do you think Starfield will be a multiplayer survival sandbox a la No Man's Sky, a la Fallout 76? Or do you think it'll be a more single-player oriented experience like Elder Scrolls, maybe with the option of co-op, but in a sort of not connected online world sort of way? What do you think? Connected online world, or at most co-op connected to maybe 2 other people world?
I think co-op. I don't think it'll be like the first thing you mentioned. So I don't know, unless you know. Do you know?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hans says they've already said Starfield is single player. And Sam,
Have they really?
Sam Tolbert says Pete Hines has already said it's a traditional RPG.
Well, that's the end of that discussion then.
There you go,
Thanks,
Jez.
Samuel.
Already
for not telling me sooner.
Already answered.
Well,
Jez.
that's a relief.
Well, Sam, since you're here, since you're here, can you tell us what Elder Scrolls 6 is, so Jez, we can stop Jez from jumping off a mountain?
Yeah, please. I don't want to have to jump off a mountain because I don't want to have to climb a mountain. I'm not the most physically active person in the gaming community, so that'd be great. Man, you see, this is why I run. This is why I have people to do research for me, because I'm a very busy guy. Very busy guy, and yeah. Thanks, everyone. I'm happy to hear that, actually. But now I'm just intrigued. Like, how is it going to work? Is it going to be a story-driven game? Is it going to be like we live in space, like Cowboy Bebop or something? Man, now I'm even more intrigued. Like, how do you modernize that experience?
You know what's funny? I just got 15
What?
emails that someone is trying to reset my Twitter account password from Twitter, saying like, "Oh, did you just request a password change for Twitter? If so, hit the button here. If not, just ignore this email." I literally just got 15 of them. So it sounds like someone's trying to get into my Twitter account. Little do they know I have two-factor on, boy.
That is weird.
Who wants to get...
Sounds like you might have triggered someone.
I guess so. Maybe I did. Maybe a Nintendo fan earlier in the show, they heard what I said and was like super pissed off or something.
Nah, I got a feeling it's maybe someone who was upset about the idea of you saying PlayStation didn't have 4,000 games on day one.
Oh yeah.
Truth hurts sometimes, man. The truth hurts.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Mr. Rigor Mortis says, "What do y'all think the next gen can bring to the open world games? How can it improve the experience other than the shiny chrome of rays and fidelity?" Well, I mean, for me, fast travel. With the SSD, you can essentially probably fast travel from one spot on the map to the other spot on the map instantaneously, which is huge because every time I've used fast travel in most other games, you kind of like fast travel and you bring up your phone and look at Twitter and wait for it to load.
Ooh, that's a point. I wonder if the SSD... Now, this might be technically stupid, but I am, like, pretty tired right now. What if the SSD could, like, let you have, like, you know, games that have tethering and stuff? What if the SSD would, like, you know, like, State of Decay with its tethering, like, you can't move away from someone too far. If like the SSD, if they could store the positional information in the SSD fast enough, wouldn't that remove that restriction maybe on the range? Because that's one of the most annoying things about State of Decay's co-op is that you have this weird tether effect to the host. But if the host could store that information somehow in the SSD, maybe that would, I don't know, help. No, someone with more technical knowledge than me, please find out. Okay, thanks. Bye.
All right. Well, I guess that's where we're going to end the show. But if you guys want to answer or ask some questions, we'll try to answer as many as we can. But we want to thank each and every one of you that was here. We had over 2,500 live, which is the second most we've ever had for the show. Obviously, I didn't think we were going to break any records today. Last week was a special week that doesn't happen very often. So thank you guys for being here. Anybody that donated with Super Chat or became a new channel member or just was here listening to us ramble or chatting, we really appreciate each and every one of you that supports the Xbox 2 podcast. And
you guys are awesome.
Before you leave, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification bell so you're always notified whenever the podcast goes live, and follow me and Jez on Twitter. Now, let's get into some questions. Zero Cool says, "Do you guys think Microsoft bought Bungie back?" Well, I would assume you missed the beginning of the show, but we talked about that. Short answer, no. Short answer is no. It's possible they're looking to get acquired, and maybe someone does buy them, but I don't think it's going to be Microsoft. So, but you never know. You know, nobody thought Microsoft was going to buy Bethesda, right, Jez?
Yep, that was a bit of a blindside.
Yeah. RDX says, "Yeah, I don't buy discs either. I do insurance work, and I've seen people lose a lot of money because their physical games were melted from a fire." That is definitely possible. But if you're also digital, well, then if you're digital and your system catches on fire, you can always buy a new system, and all your games will be
download
there.
It from the cloud, baby. Now I'm entirely cloud-based. Like my entire hard drive is in OneDrive. All my games, my saves are on Xbox Live. Like, I could like lose all of my electronics in some sort of explosion, and then be back up and running the next day from the cloud, because Microsoft has all that stuff in their servers and stuff. Did you see, by the way, Rand? that Microsoft is looking into putting data centers underwater like Bioshock.
Yeah, I did see that. Oh, you know what? I totally forgot. We didn't talk about a subject. Let's talk about it right
Oh
now, really
snap!
quickly. The PS5 to the PS4 to PS5 save issue. Some developers
Oh
saying
right, yeah.
that Dirt 5 developer, the Manny developer, Yakuza 7, they're basically saying, yeah, PS4 save. If you play it on the PS4 and you get the PS5 version, that you pretty much got to start over. And there's been a lot of talk
Wow.
about why that's the case, like what's going on, because Spider-Man Miles Morales lets you transfer your save from PS4 to PS5, but Dirt 5 doesn't. So there's some games that do and some games that don't. And I kind of want to know if Cyberpunk will, because I think that's the big one. If Cyberpunk came out and was, or Valhalla, I'm not even sure if Ubisoft said anything, but like, imagine if Cyberpunk, they came out and said, hey, yeah, saves won't transfer from PS4 to PS5. But like, if you're playing that game, like, you might as well play on an Xbox, because at least you can transfer your save over. You'd have to start completely over on the PS5. I don't know. What do you think's going on with the save stuff? Because I did see Microsoft kind of make a tweet in response to that, being like, "Oh, look at the saves are all in the cloud," and the whole smart delivery thing, which I know a lot of people said was a marketing term, but it doesn't really seem like that's the case anymore, huh?
I think it's just a case of like Microsoft base. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. How like almost like the Xbox One was like a beta test for the real gen or something, where Microsoft, they built up all these tools and all this backend and all these systems for like its developers to be able to very easily scale across generations and across systems and stuff like that. Microsoft has all these tools in place and all these systems in place. They've invested a lot of money in doing that. Whereas, like, I guess Sony hasn't, and Sony needs to play catch up a little bit when it comes to some of their developer tools. It's probably a case of like Microsoft. Microsoft does the heavy lifting for devs for them for that, whereas Sony probably needs devs to do a bit of the work themselves. At least for now, I'm sure Sony will adapt and make it easy for devs to do longer term. But at least for right now, it looks like Microsoft has the upper hand here because they've built the system with the future in mind. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's just speculation again.
Sean Murray has a question. He says, can't find it, but Astraz, does the Series X have USB 3.1 Gen 2, meaning 3.2 Gen 2s, also meaning 10 gigs interface?
I have no idea. There's no way of finding that out from the system. I could ask Xbox PR, I guess. They could probably let us know about that. But I don't know offhand. But I'll try and find out for you. DM me on Twitter and see if I can get that figured out for you.
Darth Paxton says he wants us to do a F, Marry, and Kill, Jez. ZeniMax edition. Arcane, Bethesda Game Studios, id Software. Which one are you effing? Which one are you marrying? And which one are you killing?
What the hell? Out of all of the Bethesda studios?
No, just Arcane, Bethesda Game Studios, and id Software. Just those three.
Oh,
F,
man.
Marry, Kill.
Oh,
I'll go first, right? Personal taste.
Man, that is
personal taste. I'm killing Bethesda Game Studios. They're done. They're dead.
No,
Yes.
no.
I'm marrying Arcane because they make some really, really quality games and very each one of them is different. They're I think they're like a hidden gem of a studio. And I'm gonna F id Software because Doom. But yeah, I'm getting rid of Bethesda Game Studios. Jez, come on.
This is a tough one for me, man, but I'm sorry, id. Id is gone,
What?
baby.
You're killing
Yep.
id?
I'm killing id, man. Id is out of there. Man. Arcane's just made more games that I enjoyed, and that's just it, man. So id is gone, and I would marry Bethesda because I would want to be able to like spend a lot of time with them to tell them not to make Fallout 76 like games again. But I would get with Arcane because Prey is an erotic experience, and that you might only experience it once, and you probably never play it again. But yeah, it was a special time.
That was a good question.
What is this question?
I don't know. I mean, I like it because it's like, yeah. Face says, why Sony give the PS5 to Japan YouTubers first? I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I do wonder what they're going to be able to show on the October 4th.
Maybe it's because there's less scrutiny from the competition, less people interested in Xbox as a competing console. That is kind of strange because isn't Sony technically US based now? Didn't they move their headquarters to America?
I don't know. I thought Sony Europe was the one that basically took over PlayStation though, but I'm not really sure about the corporate stuff.
I have no idea.
GMH wants to know if there'll be an XO20 or what 2020 this year. Do you think there'll be an XO?
I think there will be. I think it'd be cool to keep that tradition going. Like even if they call it something else, like XO Live or something like that. I would definitely like to see them round out the year with some good things to look forward to. Because let's face it, a lot of people are going to get these consoles, and there's going to be like, only a handful of games that really are next gen ish. And even then, it's like your Watch Dogs Legions and your Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They're kind of like they're more like cross gen games, right? Let's just face facts here. So, if I was them, I don't want to close out the year with giving people a glimpse of what to look forward to in 2021. And then go away and have a big break through January because they've frankly earned it. And stop giving me so much work to do because I've earned a break too. Thanks, Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would like to see that. I would like to see XO. That'd be sweet.
Draken Lord says, isn't game sharing illegal? I heard from a guy that he got a permaban on Xbox Live for it. It's kind of a gray area. I know they say you're not supposed to give your passwords out to people. But I don't think you'd get in trouble for it. I mean, I haven't, and I've been game sharing for 5 years now at this point. So, yeah, I don't think you'll get in trouble for it. Froggy White says, when do you think Xbox is going to show next gen or BC upgrade footage directly? Maybe next week, maybe the week after. I mean, we still got what, 6 weeks left until the consoles are available. I don't know. One of these weeks, I think, it'll happen.
When's the Game Awards?
December, I think. November.
You wanna expect that Microsoft probably gonna have something to show off at the Game Awards. They've got a lot of studios now with a lot of games.
Yeah, but he's talking about next gen games footage. Like, his console's gonna be out before then.
Oh right. Okay.
You're getting tired, which is why we're gonna have to end the show here in a minute.
I don't know, man. Like, what next gen games can they show? Because you got Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They're not exactly gonna have like full blown cadence of next gen features like ray tracing and stuff, are they? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I don't even think some of those games are done yet. Did Watch Dogs Legions go gold yet? Have they announced if it's gone gold? I would imagine a lot of them are trying to finish the game up to a certain point.
Yeah, it's problem when like you're relying on a third party to help market your console because they've got their own stuff to do. They've got to finish the games they need to do, and they've got to market their own games, and they've also got to work with your competitor as well. And I suppose like actually asking them to do some of that heavy lifting is kind of an issue, isn't it? Especially in the COVID times. So we might just have to wait on that.
William Jackson says, have you heard anything about Xbox having 2 more acquisitions to announce? And this kind of also ties in with East Coast questions. He says, if you had to bet money on the next 3 studio acquisitions, who are you picking? Yeah, I mean, I've heard the same, like people like, oh, there's 2 more studios and blah, 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 blah. That's the problem with acquisitions is like they could fall apart at any point in time. So I don't know. Asobo would be a good pick. I don't know. Everything's blown out of the water with them buying Bethesda because anything's on the table realistically. If Microsoft, I mean, I know people didn't really believe Microsoft was interested in Warner Brothers, but they were, you know. I can say like Asobo I think would be a good pick. IO Interactive would be a good pick. But other than that, like I don't know who else Microsoft would be like Dontnod maybe. Like Microsoft worked closely with them Tell Me Why. Maybe Microsoft decides to purchase them and they can kind of do their, Telltale like games and Game Pass. But I mean,
the problem is now it's almost like it's less to do with what would be good for Xbox and more to do with, oh my God, we're in an arm race now. Who could Microsoft lose? Because, for example, could you imagine if Amazon, just for example, imagine Amazon buys Capcom, and then nobody gets to play those games outside of cloud streaming anymore. Imagine like Tencent buys, I don't know, CD Projekt Red, and then we have to like all join Tencent's special service to play those games. Like it's almost like I almost like want Microsoft and Sony actually to buy up some of these old studios just to stop inferior companies getting them. Because I know Amazon is totally unproven in gaming, and from what we've seen, they kind of suck at it so far. Like both their games had to return back into beta phase because they were so terrible. So like, is that really who you want having control of Capcom, Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and stuff like that? Would you want Amazon having control of Bethesda? You know, like Microsoft potentially saved Bethesda from like an even spookier acquisition. So I don't know. I think 2021 is going to be a spooky year for this acquisition stuff, because you got to remember it's not just Microsoft looking to grow here. Like you got Tencent waiting around, throwing money all over the place. You got Amazon. In a way, Microsoft may have kickstarted an arms race with some of these massive companies that have a lot of cash flowing around right now. Amazon basically became the world's provider of everything in the pandemic. So they have a lot of cash, or they have a lot of spare cash lying around right now. So yeah, that's something to think about too.
Yeah, the arms race. That's something I'm worried about. People just ramping up, and sooner or later you realize, oh, somebody purchased Capcom, and oh, somebody purchased Ubisoft, and it's just like, oh man, you know, like if somebody if like Google purchased Bungie, I'd be like, no big loss, you know. I would that'd be funny. Like they purchased Destiny and they purchased Bungie and they pull Destiny off all the platforms, so the only way to play Destiny 2 is on Stadia. That would be something else, you know. That would be very
kill
funny.
Destiny. That wouldn't help Stadia. That would just kill Destiny, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. But I think that's it, guys. We went on for how long? How long has this episode been going on for? 2 hours and 40 minutes. Yeah, it's definitely a long one.
Oh my god.
So I know
that was 2 hours 40 minutes.
2 hours and 40 minutes. Like we appreciate each and every one of you guys that were here. Hope you enjoyed the show and Jez's impressions. It's hands-on with the Series X. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. And we will see you next week. Jez, you got anything to say before we get out of here?
No, man. Just, thanks everyone for the support. It's been phenomenal times. Like, everything's so crazy in the world. Like, there's such a duality right now. It's all this crazy horribleness going on, and then trying to be excited about video games at the same time is a bit weird. But, everyone deserves escapism, and we are theoretically in the business of fun. So I hope that we can entertain you in a humble little way. And thanks for podcasting with me, Rand.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Jess. And with that, we'll be back. We'll be back next Friday, or this Friday, I guess, for another episode of the Xbox 2 podcast. Hopefully with a lot more to talk about. So until then, keep it gaming, guys. Later.